Hey, good afternoon there. Today is Friday, the 17th of November, 2017. And today we have Patricia on the panel and we have Robert Foertsch, who is Eternal Perspective and Bible.com. And Robert comes to catch up with us and tell us what he's doing and what's going on. And he's been to the conference. Robert.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for having me on today. It's been very interesting. One of the huge benefits of going to the conference was, of course, meeting with people that realize um, the the global deception, actually the science fiction of the globe, and we grew up with
Yeah.
it as children, and so did our parents, and basically for roughly about 500 years. And it gets kind of complicated because, I was interviewed by different independent networks, and we'll see how
Who
that
interviewed you then,
comes
Robert?
up. What's that?
Who interviewed you?
I interviewed with HBO, subcontractor for the HBO network. So I don't know if anything will come out from there. It was interesting because I didn't realize it was going to be an interview. And what ended up happening was all of a sudden the little fuzzy microphone came out and they started rolling. And I certainly gave them enough sound bites that they could make me out to be a crazy guy. Oh, well, I don't know if they're going to do that. And that's part of the dynamic. Then there was ABC that I met with briefly. And what was interesting about ABC, they wanted to do the interview in the common area right outside the conference. And when they interviewed Rob Skiba, there was a tremendous amount of background sound there. And it was no fault of Rob's. It was where ABC chose to put the interview together. Right around the corner would have been
Oh.
a pretty quiet area of a hallway, or they could have picked an adjacent conference room, but they didn't. It just made it hard to hear what Rob had to say. And yet, listening very carefully, I was able to hear a wonderful presentation by Rob. And what was really interesting about that, too, when I talked to the HBO representatives, I said, can I actually have my live broadcast going while you interview me? And he said, no, we can't do that because of it's a conflict of their how they do what they do. And I'm not going to say it's all sinister. It just puts them in a different perspective to have the accountability of a live feed that goes out there and shows the actual broadcast. And then people can say, oh, yeah, they said this or that type of thing. So with what they showed with Rob, it's a bit different, and yet he covered the information well. There were two other independents that I talked to. Red Ice Radio has been talking about conspiracies for years, and it was actually a really wonderful interview. How much of that will go up, I don't know. And basically covered quite a few different aspects in the conspiracy world, and that's kind of challenging. What ends up happening, at least what I've noticed in all this, is that people that are aware of the science fiction of the globe are very aware of a multitude of different deceptions that have been perpetrated on humanity for a long time. Basically, the false pretense for war, military action, the victors write the history of the war, how it
Robert,
actually
Robert,
went down.
have you been seeing in the on the internet about the American flag flying? It's a war flag.
In what in particular about the flag?
Well, it's got a border around it. So the peacetime flag doesn't have a border, which means that from the South was fighting the North, and years ago, supposedly, when it happened, um,
Mm-hmm.
they've never changed the flag from war. It means that America has been at war ever since, and we're on a heightened state of war.
Well, I don't know the symbolism behind the flag. It's obvious with our military presence all around the world that we're being used basically by the um, what some would say is the beast system. There's talk of the mark of the beast. We've got the shadow government that basically interconnects, like the Trilateral Commission, the United Nations, the Bilderberg Group, and who knows how many other. There are other groups. I didn't have an exhaustive list of them all. It's basically the non-official governments of the world that are basically being orchestrated behind the scenes. So that even though we've got three parties recognized in the United States with heaviest emphasis on Republican and Democrat,
Yeah.
it's the illusion of choice, actually, because behind all of that, we wouldn't even get to vote on somebody that the real controllers of our world are going to let us to choose from. Now, what gets a bit complicated about that is that over the top of all of that is God's sovereignty, and nothing is going to happen that He doesn't cause or allow. So, in the context of that, when Red Ice Radio said, "Who's behind the deception?" I said, "Well, what's interesting about that is I was actually a part of the deception." And I was unaware of it. In other words, when we were homeschooling our children, we would say, we didn't come from monkeys. We showed them the globe and actually have hundreds of hours of Bill Nye the Science Guy. We recorded that for years, and I was
You homeschooled
unaware.
your children, did you, Robert?
What's that?
You homeschooled your children.
We did. We did for the majority of their schooling. Most of it for our oldest son, and then because of different life circumstances, our other two sons had less homeschooling, but they all had, I believe, upwards of seven years of homeschooling. We lived on a picturesque little setting out in the country, and basically utilize curricula that were prepared by Christian organizations, and we presented that to our children. And what's interesting about that is at that time, the discussion of the cosmology really didn't, we never even questioned it. We were aware it wasn't a good idea to get vaccinations, and there were other aspects of our world that we were aware of. It's just that we were not aware that there was any debate about the shape of the world. Didn't know that. And then when 9/11 occurred, 9/11 of 2001, I remember calling Joni at home, and she had her happy voice, unaware that anything had occurred. And I just started crying because it changed everything.
Oh,
Well, what happened was she was unaware that we were under attack, and I was unaware that it was actually an inside job until roughly about 8 years ago when I became aware that.
yeah, none of us believed it was that. We thought it happened, but it wasn't real.
Well, and that's
Well, it was really
seeing,
happened, but not the way they
yeah,
said it did. But
exactly.
Robert,
So one of
ask you,
the
who else did you see at the conference then? Did you watch all of it? Were you
well,
sitting
not
watching all the
not
people speak?
well, not all of it, because during some of it, I was being interviewed by other media agencies. So I saw a good portion of it. Now it's there's I've posted on my YouTube channel some liked videos that were from the conference, and then Robbie Davidson most recently, I believe it was yesterday, released the professional broadcast, or I should say the live stream is now available for free for people to be able to see. They had a media company that did a fabulous job of
Can I just
broadcasting
say,
it.
Robert, in the chat room right now, we've got Dave Marsh. He went.
Oh
He
yeah,
went to
hi
your
Dave.
conference from England.
Yeah, yeah, it was great to see you, Dave. I enjoyed that.
Did
That
you
was
see him there?
oh, absolutely. We hung out for a
Oh, you
while.
met each
Yeah.
other.
Oh,
Oh, that's
absolutely.
brilliant.
Well, that was one of the high points of the of the conference for me was, well, not one of the high points. That was that theme of connecting with people that I've been following, or watching the work like Dave has done with his cinematography, and so forth, and just get to know him more individually. Like it was wonderful. Yeah. Hmm.
Oh,
And
I didn't know you'd met each other. I haven't caught up with Dave yet, but obviously he was interviewed by a radio station, I think, on the way ending, or the day the day it ended, he was being interviewed by a radio company. So it's all good stuff, isn't it? What they do with it.
well, yeah. Hi, Dave. Um, one of the dynamics that I saw with the different attendees there, like we're wondering, what are they going to do? Well, how are they gonna
What you mean
present
in the
us?
conference itself? You mean how they were going to handle the conference? What they were going to?
Well, for example, when ABC Nightline did the Rob Skiba interview, there was a tremendous amount of background noise, made it very hard to hear Rob talk. So some people will tune that out. They won't watch the whole interview, and how much of it will they show? I don't know. But it wasn't the professionalism that they normally apply to an interview for ABC Nightline. It would be in a room where you could actually hear the interview, and that's not what happened here on this one. Now, what I don't know is, did they put a lapel mic on Rob, and do they have a way of cutting out the background noise? I don't know. What I did see was the live interview that Rob's wife actually recorded and or broadcast. So Rob is really good at presenting information, and so I'm not sure what they're going to do with that. Now, what I did realize through all this is that there are challenges with putting on an event, and there's going to be a lot of armchair quarterbacks, so to speak, that will sit back and look. Oh, they're selling T-shirts and
Hey,
and
Robert.
different
One
other
thing about
things.
the conference. Thrive was talking yesterday. Guess how much it cost for one round of teas? He was talking about one day or this day's teas. Guess how much it cost for everybody?
When you say teas, what do you mean?
A cup of tea, because I think tea
A
was
cup
offered
of
to everyone.
Oh, I don't know. I'm
Yeah,
not sure.
he said it cost $8,000.
For tea?
Yeah, when you go to these places, when you go to a hotel or you go somewhere, that they charge quite a lot per person.
Oh, you mean for the coffee, water, and tea, like the whole buffet that went out there?
Eight
It
thousand
wasn't
dollars.
really,
I said pounds.
yeah.
$8,000.
Yeah, you see, like for me, I brought a quarter pound of coffee, as well as some brewed coffee. But what I'll do is I put a couple tablespoons of my coffee grounds that are fresh. I'll put them in my smoothie, and it's good. I don't want to actually have coffee that's been brewed with tap water. I'm not saying that was. I don't know what kind of
Oh yeah,
filtration
distilled
system they
water,
had.
don't you? You use distilled water.
Well, it's actually a bit different of a process. It's called reverse osmosis, and then it's carbon filtered. And distilled water is a different process. Mine is really good. I'm not saying it's necessarily better than all distillation systems. It's just a very clean water, and it's had all the toxins removed from it, and the dissolved solids, and all of that. So that's kind of a big deal. I would go through a caffeine withdrawal before I would take regular tap brewed coffee. I just wouldn't do it. So that's I've been off of the off of the fluoride and the commercial water that for a long time. Our water is actually filtered. We get the regular water in our house and then run it through a filtration system, because there's no way to remove other people's prescription drugs out of the treated water. I didn't know if you know that, but if there's chemicals in there from agricultural, or of course the fluoride and the chlorine, they also use hydrochloric acid for sanitation. That's all. The chlorine is necessary to kill the bacteria. However, I want that out of my water when I put it into my body, because the beneficial gut flora that's there to generate the neurotransmitters that the brain operates on, it doesn't do well with the chlorine. The chlorine kills some of that off. So what a lot of people are unaware of is the level of assault that's on humanity. And if they don't know, and they don't know, they don't know. Some people think that if they just drink bottled water, they're okay. Dasani puts magnesium sulfate in the water. I don't want that in my water. I just want clean, crisp, fresh water that's been sitting in the sun, and that's what I do with that. So
Lucky for
some of
you, Robert, you see the sun. We don't. The sun is out today, but we don't get to see the sun very much. And then most of the times they cover it with chemtrails.
Well, and I see that quite a bit on my news feed. People will post, and there's quite a bit of uh, aerosol in the air. Now I'm gonna just move this so I can show you out the window. We've got a tremendous amount of sun and pretty blue
Oh,
skies.
look at that! I'm so
Isn't that
jealous.
nice? Well, and part
Yeah.
of it, and this is what I did in my area here. I ended up setting this up so that I can have a little bit better environment for people to see when I'm on a live broadcast like this. And what I'll be doing is going live more in a little bit different context.
Operation Robert Foertsch.
Well, part of what we've noticed, I'm sure you're aware of this, funding can be a real issue with people. You know, like when I was mentioning about the conference, it's expensive to put the conference on, and because of that cost, there needs to be a way to defray some of that expense. How does that happen? You know, you have to charge for admission because the all of the costs that are involved in that. And then we're
Hiring the
hoping,
place.
what's that?
Hiring where you're going to have the conference. You'll
Well,
pay for the
exactly.
staff.
All of those, there's a lot of expenses with all of
People
that.
have to realise that even if you get a ticket, it's still got to be made. That ticket, someone's still got to print it.
Well,
There's
yeah.
so
So
many factors. I mean, say for instance, you decided to just have it in well, maybe a festival. Oh, I don't know. Just said, here we are. Here's the conference. Open the doors. Everybody comes in. Maybe there's no. But when you
well,
plan
see,
something like
one
that,
of
the webinar cost America. It's going to cost thousands in England.
well, Robbie told me that having the media company in to do the broadcast was $10,000, just that.
Yeah.
And so I don't know the other expenses that were involved in the conference. I just know as a business owner and just a thinking person that can look at the different the different aspects of a conference. It's expensive. So, and like I was saying, we hope that the individuals that broadcast or did the recording do a job of fair and balanced, or I hate to even say fair and balanced coverage. It's not going to be. I want to see the truth, and they're not really going to give us the truth about what's going on largely. If they give a little soundbite, I know in one of the clips that I saw, there was a young man that basically said that he believes that we're on a sphere, and there's no real evidence that we're on anything different. And I'm thinking, are you kidding? The one of the most disturbing things that I hear is that when somebody looks at the information and they come away believing we're still on a globe. I never even thought to look at it until February 15th of 2005 it was. And from that point on, I mean, it took a few hours of looking at it, and I thought, oh my gosh, I'm going to call Mark Sargent. I was thinking as a conspiracy researcher that the whole data stream of all of our activity is being
Why
monitored,
Mark
tracked.
Sargent?
Well,
Just asking.
well, yeah, great question. Mark Sargent put his phone number on the video, Flat Earth Clues.
Accessible. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's accessible, isn't he?
Well,
Carry on.
he put his phone number on there, and I called him, being aware that, you know, I didn't know what we were looking at first here, how far the deception actually went. I just thought, oh my gosh, they're lying about the shape of the world. That must involve a whole lot of people. And like, I'm going to digress just back a moment to when I was referring to homeschooling our children. We were part of that deception and unaware of it. By irony and paradox, the deceived do not know they're deceived. With pride as a catalyst, they're not going to get it. People that think, oh, you know, I've got a, I'm a, I'm a theoretical physicist, and you know, I've got a lot more education than you. And unfortunately, that pride will inhibit people from realizing the truth. And when in the truth movements, and there are many of them, I would say that I'm in the most important truth movement. It's a priority that I've established for my conduct, and I believe that the Bible is God's word, and it is true. And I understand that there are people that have varying perspectives on the Bible. Some believe it's a fairy tale, and that's certainly they're entitled to their perspective as well as I am also. And so that's what I bring to the discussion, is the fact that no matter how many of the different conspiracies a person is able to determine, if they get this one wrong about the Bible being real, and because of that, it's not just what to believe, it's moreover how to believe. Now that I actually am born again, I see things so different. So the short version of that is, I thought I was born again until I actually was. There was over a 30-year delay. And so the way that I see things is so radically different. It's more than like
I
putting
think
on
you,
a
Robert.
pair of.
I think you always saw things different. It's just that wake up was just why. Can I just say that Judith's joined us? Hello, Judith from Israel. Just so that she's come on.
Hi,
Shalom.
Edith.
Hi, shalom.
Shalom.
How are you?
Great. Good to see you.
I think a lot of us knew there was something. We felt differently or sensitive, or we noticed things that other people didn't realise. But being born again, it made you.
Well, and yes, I remember as a young boy that I was questioning if people see things differently than I do. And the answer is absolutely. We all have our own individual perspective, and then based on that perspective, okay, so for example, I believe the Bible is true, and God's word says that this world doesn't move. Well, some say that the Bible's not a science book. And I would say, well, consider this. If we're not moving, and I believe we're not moving, that means that the theoretical physicists are wrong. And they're not just wrong by a little bit, they're intentionally deceptive. So that's a big deal. And then to complicate the issue, the mouthpiece for the theoretical physicists are all the mainstream media that are actually part of the deception. How many of them are aware of it? I don't know. High up in the organizational structure of the corporations, I'm sure they know. As far as the day-to-day person holding a microphone out for an interview, they may be aware of it, maybe not. I wouldn't have any way of knowing for sure. The thing that I wanted to go back to about the cost of putting on a conference and having the hope that it's going to be accurately portrayed. What I'm going to say for that is, it caused me to have great concern that there's such a cost for putting on an event, and not only that, the individual lives of people that I met that are struggling financially, Life circumstances are very difficult, and for many of them, it involves finances, and that's intentional. They don't. The powers that be don't throw a whole lot of extra money into a person's bank account for working at a store or as a mechanic. There's a lot of jobs that give the least amount of money possible to acquire the help to do the job. So that makes it kind of difficult. And there's a lot of peer pressure. If somebody decides they're going to blow the whistle on the deception that's going on, they may find themselves looking for another job. So what happened was I have a passion to help people know the truth and share the truth. In the context of that, I met a representative, Matthew Long is his name, and he was helping a lot with the conference. And he's a very professional gentleman. He's also a Bible believer as well. And we've been working together on some ways that we can take the deregulation of energy, the benefit of that for individual representatives.
There was one thing you weren't sure about, was you? This is regulation that they're going to go wanted that was branded around that they were applying for this regulation. Can you explain it?
Well, what's happened is there's been a deregulation in the energy industry, and there are areas of the world that have allowed individual representatives to help people save money on their energy bill. And in some cases, it's substantial. There's areas in Japan and now more recently in Canada, and many of the states, about half of the states in the United States, have deregulated their energy, the way that they pay or charge for energy delivery. In California, Ambit Energy provides a discounted rate for natural gas. And there's a lot of natural gas that's being used in California. And then there are also areas where Ambit Energy, that's the hyperlink I'm putting on the top of my posts that are going out. When somebody clicks on that hyperlink, it'll take them to the website and help them understand how they may benefit from their affiliation with Ambit Energy. For some people, they're going to save money on their energy bill. We all use electricity, and many of us are paying more than we would have to. So part of the dynamic is I want to help people realize that they can generate a substantial amount of money, income, helping others save money on their utility bill. Because what we've worked out is some of the dynamics through the social media, including YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, where just by me adding eternalperspective.myambit.com, when I type that in, when I share a video, it turns into a hyperlink. When somebody sees that YouTube video that I shared, they can click on the hyperlink on top or the comment that I put down below and go to the website that explains whether or not they qualify for solar installation. Sunrun is the name of a solar installation company whereby people just if they own their property or have the permission of their property owner, through no cost of the homeowner, they don't have to pay for their solar panels. They're installed by Sunrun, and then they pay less money for their electric bill. So they're getting solar electricity, and they're paying less for the electricity that they're using than if they were just plugged into their provider. Now, what's interesting about this too is that in a deregulated area, the people have their same power generation. They're just getting it at a discounted rate. So although it's network marketing, it's unlike anything I've ever seen before. When Matt described the situation to me, I said, I'm all in. I didn't even realize that the founder of, or for the marketing of XL Communications, who helped grow that business in a tremendous way, Chris Chambliss, actually developed a system for network marketing in the deregulated communications industry. And they have taken that same level of excellence to this form of power distribution, and it basically saves people money and helps others make money by representing this opportunity. So it's not like pills, potions, and it's none of that. What it is, people are already using energy, and it's a way to save money on it. So here's the idea. As an independent representative, which I am, I can be a flat earther and a 9/11 conspiracy truther, and basically I'm a truther. I'm exposing the truth. That's been where I've shortened that up to what I'm about. I'm exposing the truth. Now, when we look at Nikola Tesla, he wanted to provide free wireless energy available to people all around the world. And we know that that didn't happen because there was not the profitability by the corporations to allow that to happen. So funding was removed, and then they misrepresented Nikola Tesla. Many of you know the story of that. So what this organization, Ambit Energy, has done is found a way, created a system where people can make money and save money. So one of my videos that I posted most recently said, free time and money. And what's that about? Well, it's basically there's the ability to make money and save money, help others save money, and in the process, there's a residual income that I will be developing. And Matt has worked for the organization for 3 years. What does this have to do with the truth movements? Well, it has to do with funding your own truth movement. So, like, for example, where I live in Myrtle Beach area, South Carolina, it's technically Longs. They're in the Grand Strand, which is like 60 miles of coastline in this area. We're anticipating approximately 20 million guests this year coming in 2000, I should say in 2018. Many of these individuals live in a deregulated area. I have the ability to help them save money on their utility bill, substantial amounts of money, and they can also fund their own life through mentioning it to others. So rather than me trying to explain the whole program, what ends up happening is people can go to the website from the hyperlink that I post or others post as well and learn what the opportunity is and how it works out. So I think it's a win-win situation, and that's why it's very attractive to people that look at it. Because I had been in different sales organizations before, and unfortunately, they didn't have a tangible benefit to the representatives, not as much as this, because it's a product we're already using, natural gas and electricity. So it's a big deal. Now, when for example, I could put on an event here if I had the financial resources. Let's put it this way. When I do have the financial resources in this area, I'll be able to do more. And I'll be able to do that at the beach. There's no, I don't have to knock on a door. There's no door on the beach. So I'm able to circulate in public and basically present the information to people that they can go to. Now, for example, I use the name Hashi Nakamoto is like an imaginary Japanese gentleman. I'm sure there's somebody that has a name similar to that. I'm not going to be knocking on his door anytime soon and sitting at his dining table. However, he can see a video that I'm posting, click on it, and when he clicks on my hyperlink, it's connecting me to him. If he decides, or anybody decides they want to become a part of the Ambit team, Ambit Energy team, then they click on start their business, and they can start saving and potentially making money as well. So it's a win-win situation. Basically, it's leveraging social media. I've got an example I'll show you here. So right here, this is the iconic bell. Okay. And when that bell, if you're working at a night shift at a hotel and you hear that bell, or you're working in a store, it basically means you need to stop what you're doing and help that individual. Well, with digital communications and social media, I don't need to stop what I'm doing when somebody else somewhere in the world decides they want to move forward with becoming an Ambit representative. So it's basically like I have been talking about in my live broadcast. There's the me that you see right now that's live, and this is a live broadcast. And then once the video is posted, it's still there. So I could be walking on the beach, mowing the lawn, working on the car, and people are seeing this presentation, and then they can say, "Oh, you know what? That sounds interesting." So, like on my cover photo, I previously had the beautiful mirrored image of the inlet in Cherry Grove, South Carolina, and I'm gonna go to my profile right now and bring up my current one and show it to you, so you can see what I've done. It's actually the wind turbines, and what does that have to? Well, it's basically power generating using the wind. So let's bring that up and show a little closer there. All the wind turbines that are there. There's a location in Indiana where there's, I would say, conservatively, more than 500 wind turbines on a large wind farm, and they're rather expensive. And it's a decentralized power generating. They've got wind turbines in other areas of the world as well. And so rather than it be just like a gas or oil or nuclear or coal power plant, basically it's harvesting the energy of the wind that blows across the earth, and harvesting that and creating clean energy. And then there's also the solar energy. So even though in South Carolina I'm in a regulated area for energy at this time, I'll be working to help change that as well. And the executives with Ambit Energy are actively involved in the deregulation, the further deregulation. However, I believe I've been advertised to by solar companies that we can utilize that solar program, which is really a wonderful program. What it involves is just saying, yeah, we would like the panels installed. We don't have to pay for anything more than our regular energy bill, which is going to be less, and they take care of the installation and maintenance. So it's a win-win situation. So that's where looking at the humanity, or the different lives of the interaction with the individuals at the Flat Earth Conference International in Raleigh, North Carolina. I had an opportunity to meet people from all over the world that came here, like Dave Marsh and others that came from across the ocean. And then there were those, one of the ladies that I had an interview with was from Australia, a particular area of interest. Apparently, they're all upside down there in the global eye science fiction of the globe, and which is kind of interesting because when people now, as adults, look at the global eye, if they still believe we're on a globe spinning 1,000 miles an hour, I actually feel sorry for them because it just doesn't work. You know, what happens with the term gravity is they'll say, well, some will say, well, jump off a building, do us all a favor, you'll see that gravity is real. I don't have any problem with buoyancy and the difference of density and mass causing things to fall down to the earth. Makes perfect sense. What doesn't make any sense at all is that they're claiming that gravity stops toilet water from flying out on people south of the equator. Toilet water, boats floating and not flying off, all the ridiculous assertions that go along with a world that's spinning. It's not spinning. It's not happening. So that's part of what we do is truth tellers, is tell the truth about that. You know, there's no observable movement that we can sense, and we can't find the curve. I did a breakdown on one of my videos. From coast to coast, from Myrtle Beach to Long Beach, is roughly 2,300 miles. In the middle of the country, there would be a hump in the middle of the country over 325 miles tall, which is approaching a 30% grade. Now, when I get to the mountains, the Rocky Mountains or the Smoky Mountains, they're between a 5 and 7% grade. When I drove from coast to coast with my diesel Volkswagen, I averaged 55 miles to the gallon of diesel fuel. It was a high performance. I had it modified to get extreme fuel economy and a lot of power, torque. Well, what ended up happening when I would get to a 5 to 7% grade, my fuel economy would drop into the low teens, like 13 miles, 14 miles to the gallon. So how in the world could I average 55 miles to the gallon if I was going up a grade of the imaginary globe of over 30%? It couldn't happen. Not only that, my car couldn't have done it. And I know that they'll say gravity. Gravity makes that work. Gravity makes it all work. Gravity is the glue that holds
Gravity was made for the ball, Robert. It's not real. They have to have gravity for the ball.
Oh, exactly.
People don't get that. It's so massive, it keeps the oceans to the seas. Yet a butterfly can take off. And if I get a tea towel with water in and I swing it around, all the water comes off.
Oh, yeah.
And people can't even work that out. It keeps an ocean to the ball. It should keep our faces to the ground.
Yeah, exactly. Like the same tennis ball that people throw for Rover or their dog, Max, or whatever his name is or her name, the salt water and the dog spit goes flying off of it. And yet we're supposed to believe that there's trillions and trillions of tons of water that are conforming to a ball. It's ridiculous. Okay, so part of this is that we have an opportunity to try and help people to realize that deception and to do it in a diplomatic manner that doesn't infer that they're stupid. Many of them just haven't looked into it. That's where I was. In February of 2015, I was shocked to even consider looking at it. And once I did, I realized the overwhelming evidence that we're not on a globe. It's impossible to live on a globe. It just doesn't work. So there's so many things that don't work, from cranes and plumb bobs to the wind chime that's outside. I don't know if you can hear my wind chime. Let me move my mic a little bit closer. I'll show you too. Okay, so I'm going to flip this around. It's kind of hard. There's the edge of it right there. Can you hear that?
We can.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Mm-hmm. So
I've got one in my garden that plays equivalent to real notes.
Oh yeah.
Some of them don't. They just clank. Mine says it was a musical one, whatever that means.
Well, and
it's playing actual notes.
That's what I have too. It actually has beautiful relaxing tones. And when you think about it, how would that even be possible on a globe? How would that even work? Well, it doesn't have to work on a globe. We don't have to make it all work because it's not on a globe. We're not on a globe. A wind chime, a crane, a plumb bob, all of that just wouldn't work on a globe. So how would rain fall upside down, being drawn to this molten core? The deepest hole we've
People
ever...
haven't realised, because they say it's magnetical, that molten core.
Yeah,
We've got a big
and they would,
hot centre, but magnets don't work in heat. They melt, and then they don't work.
Right. Well, yeah, and so there are real forces that we can test and observe. The differences in density and mass are evident. They're self-evident. We can see them. For example, right here, my water jug. I'm going to flip it back around and show you. This is my iconic water jug, and it's perfectly still in there. The water is. Okay. And it's reflective. It seeks its level and fills the container. Now, what's interesting about this, there's condensation up here. And what I'm going to do is just shake that, and then the condensation goes away. And in a little bit, that water will become calm and flat and level. And that's just the way that works. And there's a pond in my backyard right there. And that water is flat and mostly flat. There's some ducks out there. But the undisturbed water is flat and level, and that's that. So, we understand that the deception is great and that many people believe it.
Yeah, I want to say something, Robert.
What's that?
I'd like to say something.
Okay.
I make a post about the level water, and great post. And I put it in the group of 50,000 globalists. 52,000 global, yeah. And I have I have a big action there. And they call me idiot. You see, I didn't call nobody idiot. Let's say we are not agree. That's okay if you are not agree, but speak with respect. And
do you know why they do that, Judith?
Yeah.
Why do you think they attack us for being stupid or an idiot? Oh, it looks like you're muted.
Because they don't want to look. They don't want to wake up.
I'm listening.
Well, the reason why they attack us personally, like Karen mentioned, people had been attacking her as well, is because the truth of the matter is we have the evidence that proves that they're deceived, and they don't want to believe the truth. They want to believe what they want to believe. Now, one of the reasons why I'm so interested in helping people achieve financial freedom to save and make money is so they're not held hostage by their employer and being misrepresented, and actually in some cases people are fired from their job because of their outspoken proclamation that we're not on a globe. You might be able to work at a convenience store and talk to people that we're on a flat Earth. However, if you're a physics professor at a university and you step out of line on that one, it changes everything. The modern theoretical physicists that meander off into formulas and explanations that don't reflect reality, they've got a problem. They're going to have to look for a different job. Well, that's where I enter in. Or not just me, others that are representatives to help people find a different way to make a living. So people believe a lot of things. I just prefer the truth. I have a love for the truth. That's how I actually came into this whole understanding, how I got free from legal and illegal drugs, how I'm, it's more than like me putting on a different pair of glasses and now I see, like the movie They Live, where Roddy Piper would put on the glasses and he could see the world differently. It's a bit different than that for me, although that's an interesting analogy. What's happened is not only do I see it differently, I have the power of God living in and through me to make decisions that I couldn't make before. That's largely the big deal. When I was set free from addictions, like I was enslaved to, that changed me. So what I want to do is help set other people free in introducing them to the truth of God's word. And there's a mind control that's going on in the mainstream media in the world that we live in, and it's not just the news. It's the quote unquote entertainment. It's never been about entertaining, really. It's all been about programming, and many of us are aware of that. So the television, the radio, the tapes, and of course the internet has made the amount of choices rather diverse, which is very interesting because some people are saying, "Oh, the internet is bad," and that. What I would say is, well, the internet has made the truth more accessible, and yet within the context of that, it's very convoluted in that there's a tremendous amount of deception that's commingled with the truth. So to keep that in mind, that's why what happens with my associated profiles and friends and family on Facebook, what happens is, even though I'm not channel surfing on the television, when I go into my news feed, there are individuals that have found out information that they wanted to share with like-minded individuals, which gives us quite an opportunity. It's a lot different. We're not in Kansas anymore.
No, Sam, what do you mean we're not in Kansas? No, Dorothy.
Oh yeah, Dorothy clicking her heels and wanting to go back to.
Yeah, I want those shoes.
Now, what's interesting about that, the Wizard of Oz, is that Bill Still is an author that wrote a book. I believe it's called The Yellow Brick Road, or The Truth of the Story of Oz, or The Wizard of Oz. It's in my liked video playlist. And what it talks about is how the author of the movie, The Wizard of Oz, was wanting to expose the truth of our financial system. And they retooled that. They rewrote the movie to just be like an entertainment. It's a different kind of programming, though. It's not what the author of the movie originally wanted to do was help us to realize the deception of our financial system. So basically we've got a fractional reserve system where banks loan out the money on just the promise to pay. It's very complicated, but basically they print money out of thin air. They don't have to print it. A cigar smoking chimpanzee could add digits in a computer. That's all it is.
Yeah.
It's
You just wanted to say something, Robert. You
Sure.
had something to say.
Yeah.
Okay.
Robert. I think the most important today is speak about community, about being together and share, and everybody can start with this small neighborhood with the neighbor, and I don't know, in Israel we used to live like this, like Amish, our community. We have kibbutz, so we know what is it sharing together. I tell you, in my neighborhood, I know everybody, and everybody know me. So all the door is open. And if somebody needs something, all the door is open to us.
Right.
And we share everything we've
It
got.
used to be like that here, Judith, but we just haven't been like that for a long time.
So this is our time together, to be together, and agree or not agree. What we've got, it's each other. That's all. We've got each other. We need to remember this every day. Yeah. Okay.
Well, yeah, and we've lost a lot of the community in our. It's not just in a geographic area. It has to do with the time that we're living in has changed quite a bit. There's in some cases less discretionary time. In other cases, more. It depends on how somebody's situation is. For example, today when I was getting uh, my room ready for this broadcast, it's a little bit different. I'm situated different than I was in the room here, and one of the benefits to that is that I was able to use technology like using the dishwasher, the washing machine, and my digital presence that's already out on Facebook, sharing some what I believe is important information to for people to know about how they can know the truth about the science fiction of the globe, how they can know the truth about the Bible. So in the context of that, when I'm out on the driveway detailing the car and waving to people going by, that's a dynamic situation. People will stop and come over and talk to me. They'll see the Bible.com logo on my shirt or the car, and they'll ask me about that, or why do I put my water in the sunshine? Why is that? What's that about? Is that water or alcohol? Well, it's water, you know. And so what happens is when we make ourselves more accessible, that can happen. So when I'm out on the beach or in public and I'm wearing the Bible.com shirt, there's quite a few people that will come up to me because of that. It's kind of like a welcome mat. They understand that I'm open for discussion on the subject. That's kind of a big thing. And the waving and the smiling. There's how many languages in the world? A lot of them. The smile or a wave, that's universal. It covers all the languages. People
That's right.
know, yeah. And so I don't have a synthetic smile like it's a real smile. I'm really genuinely filled with joy. It's not a synthetic make believe kind of a thing. It's real. Glad to be me. Glad to be free. So that's a big part of what this is helping others to realize the truth of the situation that we're in. And basically, like I mentioned before, 3 people per second no longer have their human experience. We're all eternal beings having a temporary human experience, and so that's why I do what I do. I want people to know the truth about that. So when the theoretical physicists say that we're stardust and we evolved from billions of years of evolution, that's a lie. We still got the monkeys. They said we still got monkeys. Yeah,
I
we didn't
know.
come. Yeah, we didn't come from the monkeys. We never did.
It's really weird how they've mind controlled us on such simple things that when you think about it, you just give it a little bit more thought.
Well, yeah, yeah,
They're just
and
rubbish.
it is. It is.
But
Now
we
this is.
believed it.
Here's where it gets really
Can I
complicated.
tell you something? It really is since the 60s. Before that, like,
Oh yeah.
say, the turn of the 1900s,
Oh yeah.
flat plane, cars, There's all sorts of things happening. And then the First and Second World War happened. Although we were fighting other countries, smashed to pieces with infrastructure and everything like that. And then we come out of that, oil, petrol, and like night and daytime savings. Everything happened in the 60s, going to space. It all happened. They definitely turned us into a globe in the 60s, but only that
Oh yeah.
time
Now,
ago.
did you see
And
the
then if you turn
video
around
that
now
I?
and go to someone, do you believe in flat Earth now? They want to kill you. And yet it's only been, what, 50 years?
Oh yeah. Yeah, they're lying about that. Well,
That's
did you get the video I sent out? It's about 35 seconds long. It was Matt Powerland or Matt Borland from the NASA channel was showing a video where he's talking about the moon landing, and he said the problem I have with this picture is it was taken from the moon. Apparently, the film crew got there before the lunar lander, and they're joking about it, but it's the reality of it is how could we actually get a photograph of the lunar lander coming in for the landing? So when I sent that out through the messenger program on Facebook, I basically got shut down. I'm blocked from being able to send out any of my live videos right now. I can still send out my photo album,
You're
and
blocked.
yeah, yeah, I'm
Oh,
blocked. I'm blocked
Matt
from
Jerome's blocked as well. Every time he tries to put something up, when he's able to, they block him again.
who is that?
Matt Jerome, the guy with the triangles, squares,
Oh yeah,
atoms.
yeah. Well, see, part of you know what? It would be nice if they would say, you know what, you can't send any more out right now. They don't do that. What they do, what Facebook does, is basically stops me from being able to do that, and then they drop the post and make it look like like there's a virus or something, like I was hacked or something.
Hey,
No,
Robert, listen, Marlena's joined us as well. You're picking up the ladies today.
Oh, how nice. Well, welcome.
Marlena,
Hi,
Hi.
Milena.
Hello. How are you?
if you
Doing
haven't met
great.
Marlena before, she's a Native American
Really?
and she's from the Mi'kmaq tribe. See, I've changed it, Marlena.
Yeah, thank you.
hello,
I'd
Molly.
call her an Indian, and she doesn't like that. She's a native Canadian. Native.
Well, only
Oh,
because, when
Uh,
Christopher Columbus came over, he thought he was in India, so he named us all Indians when we're not Indians. It's like silly, right? So,
oh yeah.
yeah. Uh-huh.
Wow, that's interesting.
and Judith's here as well. Patricia's got internet problems.
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
yeah, I noticed she's been on and off again
Yeah, it throws her
a
on
bit.
and throws her off. It's just incredible. We get these lulls in our. I do as well here. It's weird, weird. But anyway, welcome, Marlena, and so that's
Thank
Judith
you.
from Israel next to you.
Shalom, Marlena.
Hi, Judith.
Shalom.
It's nice to see you guys this morning.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Robert comes on and he tells us he brings us up to date with what he's doing. He's been talking about the convention because he was there, and
Nice.
John Marsh was in the chat room. He met him. He's
Right.
been talking about the fact that he likes distilled water in a process and stuff like that. He's sort of been talking about how he's changed his room around and now it's Operation Robert, and
Yeah,
also his perspective on things.
Right.
well, in a part of the dynamic, the short version is I want to put in the good stuff and keep the bad stuff out.
Oh, Marlena, also, Robert goes to the beach every day as he's taking pictures of the sun and the moon. And I mean, he's caught some amazing videos and pictures of the sun just sitting in the clouds.
Right.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's been very interesting out there to see the sun and the moon and the waves. One of the things, like if you go to my YouTube channel, it's called Eternal Perspective, and what I've
Okay.
done is broadcast live quite a bit there. Sometimes it might be like one of the videos that I did is 11 hours and 55 minutes, and I was broadcasting the Bible live, merged with the beauty of the tide rising and falling, the waves coming and going, and the sun and the moon. So when I started out in the morning, it was relatively dark, and then you can see the tide coming and going. What's interesting too about the sun is the way that it shoots across the water when it's low in the to the eye of the observer, which we understand is further away from us. And then the way that the light beam shoots across the water, we can see the variations in the elevation, like there will be a shadow in the front of the wave, and then
Right.
as the sun moves closer, well, that changes and that goes away. So that anomalous appearance, or that rather peculiar appearance of the sun being in the midst of the clouds, happens more when the sun or the moon is low on the horizon, based on
Right.
perspective. So I don't know exactly how that works out. I'm not trying to give an explanation for the actual distance that the sun and the moon are away from us, and it would depend on what time of the day it is, because it's moving. Now, what I did notice is that based on different observations, like when I was talking to Dave Marsh, the amount of sun or moon visible in your area over there, Karen, is vastly different than it is here. He mentioned, I believe it was the moon visible for up to 17 hours.
Well, in the
And
summer, right, we only
yeah,
get about from absolute darkness, 11 o'clock at night till about 3:30 in the morning when the light's coming back. So we get that amount. So what's that? We get 20 hours, 19, 20 hours of light. In the winter, we only get about 6 hours of light.
well,
So,
see that. Yeah, that totally indicates that it's the sun and the moon that are moving, because we don't have that same experience here. It's not like a corresponding
yeah, a lot
in a
of
different
other
season.
countries, they get a bit of a difference from the winter to the summer, but it may not. It's just not as varied as ours. I'm not
Right.
even saying ours is. If you go up to Scandinavian countries, they're 24 hours sun in the winter and summer. We're not quite 24 hours. We're about 19 hours. I don't just mean the sky is blue. I mean there's remnants of light in the sky that go about 11:30, 20 odd of June, when we're coming up for the solstice. And then in the winter, like it could be 5.5, 6 hours of light. It's the other way around.
Yeah, it changes so radically, and that was one of the assertions that I made on my Sun in the Clouds video, is that the sun and the moon change in duration of visibility between one another. That would be impossible with the
Can I ask
global
one
eye.
thing, Robert? Marlena, because she's sort of Canada, what's it like for
Yeah.
you? Is it the same for you, Marlena, like me, or is it different?
What's that? Sorry, I was just going to his channel. I just subscribed to your channel. Okay.
Oh, thanks.
I mean,
You're welcome.
the variation in light. I was saying in the summer, the actual last bit of light can go about 11:30 at night.
Oh, yeah.
And the light is coming back at about 3:30 in the morning. And in the winter,
Right.
it's the other way around. We only get about 6, 7 hours of light. Is it the same for you, or do
It
you
is.
have?
No,
Right.
it is. Like right now, the dark comes at 5:30. So yeah, the winter time it's 11:30. So it's a big difference.
Yeah, because Robert's just saying, although he gets a difference in light in the summer and the winter, he just doesn't get this great big change like we do. And you did. What are you like then? Because you're Israel.
Wait, where do you live? Where does he live? Where do you live? Eternal?
Oh,
He lives in
I'm
South
in
Carolina.
the United States, South Carolina.
South Carolina.
Oh, you're not even that far, really.
No, we get a lot
It's
of
funny,
Canadians
isn't it?
that come here too.
Yeah, my son was just down there. He went down for the eclipse.
Is you did
Yeah.
there? You did.
Mhm.
You did. Flat Earth Gully. You did.
And Mars here.
What's your light difference between the summer and the winter? Is it like ours, like mine and Malena's, or is it more like Robert's?
Middle East, it's the place of the sun.
Yeah, what I'm saying is, how many hours of light do you get in the summer? How many hours of light do you? I mean, where there's light in the sky, is it
Oh,
is it really drastic the difference in the summer to the winter, or is it more like Robert, where there's a difference, but he doesn't get one like ours?
no, it's not different. The light,
Right.
no,
Yeah. Right. That's Israel, America.
yeah.
So here's one of the things that I'd like to just illustrate. In our summer, there's a particular time when the sun and the moon are visible for about 12 hours each. And then the variation changes to over 3 hours difference, where we'll see the sun for 3 hours less than the moon. And so what I would simply say to that is how would that variation be explained on the globe? Well, it can't be, because we're not spinning at a uniform rotation. We're stationary, and it's the celestial bodies that move: the sun, the moon, the stars. So back in the day, before we had the communications that we have right now, where we can talk about it, how would we know? How would I know how many hours of daylight you have? Now, I could look at a chart that tells me. I could look at a map too. I could look at a globe, and they would give me the idea I'm spinning. I'm on a globe spinning through space. They're lying about it. Now, what I did notice, I have an app that I use called Tides Near Me, and it's extremely accurate at this location. Now, if anybody else wants to evaluate the accuracy near them and let me know if it's true, that would be nice to know, because I would have no way of being able to verify that. Even if I were to get in a jet every day and confirm the tidal activity, the duration of the sun and the moon's visibility, I wouldn't be able to keep up with it. It's continually changing in the geographic location that it is. My point of all that is just that when I unplugged from the computer programmed reality that I was living in, when I basically unplugged from the corporate controlled media, I was able to see things differently. Going to my computer and researching is totally different than sitting in front of a plasma screen TV being broadcast. Who knows what's coming through there? They were talking about subliminal messages a long time ago. Well, there's more than that going on now, I'm sure, with frequencies and that we can't see. How do we know? Well, my point is to get out, get the fresh air, the sunshine when you're able to, and not be programmed with the deception that's so pervasive in humanity. One of the challenges with that is that we will be interacting. I can speak for myself too on this. I'm interacting with a lot of people that are very programmed, and they don't know it. They might think themselves very well informed. And ironically, what they are is highly indoctrinated, potentially. It depends on what they're doing. Now, out where I go quite often on the beach, there's people looking for seashells, walking their dog, just out walking and taking pictures. It's different. It's different than the cross section of humanity that may be inundated with a whole lot of television programming. I'm not saying they don't watch TV. I don't know how much they watch or don't watch. I just know when they're out on the beach there, uh, they're that's where they are, and they're typically it's somebody that's more unplugged from that kind of programming. So that was part of the benefit that I had. You know, as helpful as it is to drink purified water and that what is extremely beneficial is to focus on what's really important in life and to keep the toxic chemicals and the toxic thoughts from entering into my perception. You know, I may get a thought that is not really pleasant. It might be remembering how somebody did me wrong, and I'll just kind of move on from that pretty quickly. And see, I don't spend much time doing that because I'm more focused on a proactive interaction with others, wanting to help others experience a more enjoyable, beneficial life and have a passion, purpose, and perspective that I believe is very healthy. So, in the context of that, there's the me that you can see, and right now, well, let's see, where am I? I'm gonna flip this around and say, okay, you could see my picture, yeah, and now you can see the actual me that's actually being turned into digits. How does that even work? You know, we're not, this is so interesting. We've got
Yeah,
our
lots of
own,
little squares put together, aren't you?
yeah, yeah, and it's being reassembled in real time at your location. So basically, with what I'll be able to do and have been doing is sharing God's word to the ends of the earth around the clock and more. I'm exposing the truth about God, the truth about 9/11, the truth about the world government, the truth that we're in a battle that a lot of people are unaware of. That's a big deal. That's a big deal. A lot of people don't know that, they might ask the question, why would they put toxic chemicals in the food supply? Well, they want to hinder their opposition. They want to cause people to not perceive what's going on and to make them relatively ineffective. So I talked to a
That's right. So they calcify our pineal glands, so that we
oh
don't
yeah.
have our gifts and can't use our gifts, our God given gifts. You know.
Right, and that's part of the battle, and that's part of the target that they're wanting to hit is basically to make us less perceptive, and and to be thinking about things that really aren't profitable. That's so I'm not an anger, bitter, unloving, unforgiving person. I'm basically the opposite of that. And when we interact with humanity, there's a lot of people that are angry and bitter, unloving. That's all pretty
Yeah.
common, isn't it? Well,
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's very sad.
well, it is, and
What I'm sort of finding out is that even people who believe in flat Earth, they believe in that concept. They're not living flat Earth. They're still living from a globe head.
Yeah.
well,
I
yeah,
think
and
I think about this, how lonely I was until we start to understand this, that we need to stick together. And the moment we start this salmon project, salmon family, so I feel that I have a family. I'm part of the community because I was complete alone. For a long time, I was complete alone. I have nobody to speak with. And it was terrible because for many, many days, I didn't speak a word with nobody. So it's incredible that we find each other and we are not feeling alone. It's
Yeah,
wonderful.
it's a big deal, and one of the dynamics that's so different with, for example, the Facebook Messenger program, and there are other venues, but just that one there, we can talk to people around the world basically for free. Well, it's not free. There's digital data usage. For the situation that I have unlimited data, so it doesn't really matter. I can be on it all the time if I want to. So rather than a long distance call, I mean, the way that it used to be before that, I mean, it would be easy to run up a phone bill that would be massive, thousands of dollars. If you were conducting international business, uh, it could be a tremendous amount of money. So back to what I was saying earlier in the digital communication with just a hyperlink, rather than me leave a card somewhere that hopefully somebody finds and types my identification number in so that we're connected in that business partnership, if they go to my website from the hyperlink that's there, I'm connected to them, and that's the beautiful thing about that. So I don't have to stop what I'm doing. They can go and get themselves all connected to the program. That's exactly what I did. When I met Matt Long, he gave me the company information. I went there and enrolled myself. And then there's training on there through videos and through the website that is extremely beneficial. So I can learn the different dynamics of how to do this. So in the context of that, there are ways to make and save money, and I'm just wanting to help people to do both, and so that we can be free to express ourselves, so we're not held hostage by the economic system, where basically the economy for the working class individuals is to pay as little as possible to get the job done. And because of the world manufacturing system the way that it is now, the there the earning or the wage that is being paid has dropped substantially, where it used to be more of single income households. That's pretty rare today. A lot of times it takes a couple of people to work to earn a living, and then if they're not married, then it might take roommates. Right now our three sons live together, and they live together with a friend as well. So there's four young men living in a house together, where it's an opportunity to save for them. I haven't even talked to them about this opportunity yet. And see, I'm not embarrassed about it. What's interesting though is there's almost an inversion or a paradox with our relationships in presenting an income opportunity, because I've done that so many different times before, and it was a loser of a deal. I don't want to bring that up to my family until I can show that it's actually working. It's not that I doubt that it's going to work. It's just that the people that know us and we know them rather well may have a hesitancy, because I've been involved in different organizations that didn't have the benefit that this one does. So when I saw it, I hadn't been involved in any kind of situation like this ever before, because there's a real tangible savings, and that's a big deal. So that's why I wanted to do this and take a look at, let's say, for example, the Flat Earth Conference. What does it take to put that on? It takes quite a bit of money. So, and then quite a few of the people that are in attendance are struggling financially, and it would be nice to free us up to be able to leverage our time, so that whatever a particular media outlet decides to do with the information that they've gathered, we can create our own, like the content producers like Rob Skiba, Dean Odell, D Marble, and there are others. I mean, Dave Marsh, member of this group. People have put together some very impressive proof and some compelling reasons to know that we're not on a globe. I'm beyond belief in that. I don't believe we're not on a globe. I know we're not on a globe. And that's a big
Right.
difference.
That's the way I see it too. We were born that way here, right? So, and I said this last night on Karen's panel is, even, like, we all know now, right? Everybody knows now. Move forward, instead of trying to always prove other people wrong or prove ourselves right, is to move on from there now. Stop doing that. These people will catch up. They'll find their truth, you know. But for us to move on to something else, to better ourselves as a huge community. And yeah, wake up here, people here and there, but not to constantly keep debating when we know the truth.
Right. Well, and then part of the dynamic too is that who are we interacting with? So, for example, when I put a post out there, all of a sudden, one of the people said in my group, "Flat Earth is a joke." I said no, and he was very condescending in a private message. I just unfriended him. I don't need to block him. I used to block people. I normally don't need to do that, simply because I created the settings on my profile of Facebook and YouTube. First off, on Facebook, somebody needs to be a friend to comment on my posts, and on
Right.
YouTube, there's a delay there. I want to see what it is they want to put up there before I just let it go hot, because I don't know what they're going to put on there, and I want to at least regulate that. So, you know, there are people that are aware. However, there's a regular interaction with people that they're unaware. They don't know. They don't know, and they don't know. They don't know. And it's not just the shape of the world. It's that we're in a battle that a lot of people don't realize that we're in.
Right.
And that's one of the big deals. One of the things I don't know that I've ever mentioned on this broadcast. I'll take that highly purified water, warm up a quart of it in a gallon or in a quart container, and rinse myself off before I put my coconut oil on. And the coconut oil is like a body glove. You know, it repels water. It keeps my skin nice and moist. It nourishes the brain and the skin and the nails and the hair. I put it in my coffee. So systemically, it's part of the nourishment for my body, and then it's protective, stops the damage, or it reduces damage from the sun. And then the other thing is I'll inhale some of that warm, purified water and flush my nasal passages out. How often does that happen? How often, you know, if you don't flush your nasal passages with water, how does that get clean? You know, and when we realize, yeah, they're chemtrailing us, well, how is that getting out of there? How is that leaving our body? You know, maybe you sneeze a bit, that can help get rid of it. But that's a part of it. Now I know when I do that, my sense of smell is much more effective. And what's interesting too is that it's very effective. Having a real good sense of smell helps retrieve memories that are activated by the sense of smell or the olfactory nerves. It's extremely effective at retrieving memories. Did you all know that?
Water.
The sense of smell. When we smell
Right.
Oh yeah.
certain fragrances, how it brings back memories.
Yep. Yep.
So one of the
That's part
things
of
that
when we do some of our. Oh, sorry. I'm sorry.
Oh, you're good. Go ahead.
When we do a lot of our ceremonies here, a lot of the times we'll use certain senses so that when you do come back into one of the teachings, that as soon as you smell, say, as the sweetgrass and the sage, it's going to help you. Same with the water. We have our hands in water, right, for that memory.
Yeah.
Because water holds memory.
Yeah, that's an interesting dynamic too, and I don't know exactly how that works, but I like to have the water in the sunshine, and then there's a lot of the just I believe it's healthy. I just like it, but the dynamic of when I was actively smoking cigarettes or cigars, my sense of smell wasn't very effective. And then when I got free from all that a few years ago, I mean, it can be challenging because a lot of the memories uh, are powerful and they affect our emotions. Some people don't want to remember. And that's part of the dynamic that uh, some people are. Well, I used to be doing. I used to drink a lot of alcohol and take a lot of drugs to try and blot out my memory or numb myself of emotions. A lot of people do that. It's not
Excuse me,
unusual.
Robert.
Yeah.
How long? I have two questions for you. How long have you been aware that we're on a flat plane, and are your children and your wife woke up also that way?
Well, the first answer is I became aware that we were on a plane, not on a globe. It was roughly February of 2015. The first day that I looked at it was February 16th. I took a straight edge, 6 feet long, and put it on a tripod out by the ocean. You can see it on my profile if you care to, my photo album. That's how I know the date of it. As far as family members, they're not on board with this at all. Mm-mm. No, they think
Robert's
I'm
crazy, aren't you, Robert? You're a crazy man. Can I just say that Astra's joined us?
What's
On the
that?
Hi,
panel.
Astro.
Astral.
Hello, everybody. Hi, Robert.
Hi.
Oh, greetings.
Hi, Karen.
Hi, Shalom.
Hello, my darling. Astral is English, but he lives in Denmark. I couldn't think of where it was for a moment. Sorry, Denmark.
Yeah.
Oh, there's something nice in Denmark, huh?
There's plenty of nice things here in Denmark, yeah. Me, for example.
Yes.
And the airport to get the plane back to see my family.
There you go.
Nice.
Sorry, Robert, continue. It's great hearing
I
you.
can't.
Oh,
I can't imagine living a life that my family wasn't aware. I can't imagine living like that. That must be very frustrating at times, isn't it?
Why, yes, it is. And yet, out of that crucible of adversity, the character that God is developing he's using that adversity to develop who I am. So that
Right.
I have I do have friends around the world that are like-minded, and yet now our three adult sons don't live with us anymore, and the kiddies that we have, they don't know anything about it as far as I can tell. But and they're just very affectionate and loving, and all of that. So that's kind of nice. But I really don't have much of a choice in the matter. I can't go back. I can't go back to the not being aware. And
No.
so I've shared
Once
what
you know,
I.
you know.
Oh yeah.
You can't unlearn it.
That's right. And this involves more than the globe. It involves a battle, like I mentioned, that people don't realize we're in. realize that we're in a spiritual battle and yet be unaware of how pervasive the deception is. They might turn on Fox News and think they're getting fair and balanced coverage, and they're not. Dinner and a movie is dinner and programming. All the different aspects of our existence that are being affected by an assault that's on us. So that even a walk on the beach, it's healthy and it's good. It's not like a walk on the beach before all the cell towers and Wi-Fi signals, I'm sure. How does that affect us? I don't know. I just know that
It's funny you're saying that when you said that a little while ago. People don't realize how deep this battle goes, because when we have our ceremonies, our medicine men are constantly talking about we have to stay positive, you have to keep loving everybody, because this battle is a lot deeper than thing that people don't realize. That it's not just about being lied to, about being in a ball. It's about being lied to that God doesn't exist.
Right.
And
yeah.
And that's so if you have people not believing that, it's so easy for them to fall for everything else if they have no real love. And I say that as in love of our Creator that loves us.
Right.
The thing that's supposed to connect us all, is love is supposed to connect everybody.
It's immense. Just the whole fact that, it's continuing this lie, that's immense. It's that I can't get over, And I woke up years ago, to many things. This flat earth, that's like a year and a half or something. But it's just absolutely huge, that especially NASA can continue to carry on, the way that they are doing. They've been found out, man. They're getting found out daily, it almost seems.
Yeah.
Well,
it's like they don't mind either.
Well, and what's interesting about that, like the Math Powerland 35-second clip, I didn't know where I could find that, so I kind of MacGyvered it together. I just took my phone and I went live and broadcast it on YouTube and then shared it, and then I got blocked from sharing that private link. However, a lot of people had an opportunity to see that. And some people will see it and go, oh my gosh, yeah, okay, so the film crew got to the moon before the lunar lander did. It's part of a test in critical thinking. Now, this is where I find it very fascinating. There's a passage in Scripture. It's in 2 Thessalonians chapter 2. And what God's word says is they refuse to love the truth and so be saved. For this reason, God sends them a powerful delusion. So some people think that it's just Satan that is deceptive. Well, what people need to understand is the insincere investigation is going to yield what that investigator wants to find. And God is going to make sure that they're going to believe the lie. That's mind-blowing. That's a conundrum.
It is.
Yeah.
So what was it that made you, and this goes for you too, Astro, but Robert, what was it that when you realized, wow, we're on a flat plane? Like see, this is very fascinating to me, Robert, because we're born and raised flat earthers here. So to hear everybody's story is so different. Like what woke them up is so different. So what was it
what happened with me is I thought I was born again over 30 years ago until I actually was about 3 years ago. And so I came to the awareness almost 2 years ago that we weren't on a globe. It was like a little more than 2.5 years ago. February of 2015 is when I realized the global lie. However, the lie that I was deceived with before that was that I thought I was born again, and I wasn't. So Scripture says what types of what's going to happen, which is prophecy, what has happened, which is history, and then His Word also says what it looks like in a person's life who who is born again or isn't. So it's a big deal. It's not just, oh, I need to believe Jesus died for my sins. It's like, well, there's a lot more to understanding. Am I actually really born again, or just deceived? And so when I was given a love for the truth, that's when my eyes were open. Now, I was aware of some other conspiracies before this. Keep in mind that when I quoted that passage, they refuse to love the truth and so be saved. The love of the truth, I believe, is a gift from God. So that ultimately, if somebody believes we're on a level plane and yet doesn't acknowledge the reality of the God who created us, they're going to miss out really big. However, it's not based on my salesmanship or anybody else's. From what I understand, it's a sovereign act of God. He's in control, and he'll remove the veil of deception, the veil that's covering people's eyes at a particular point in their human experience, if they're a child of God. Now, if they're not going to get it. You know, when I watch some of the videos that I've seen about people that sold their souls to the devil for fortune and fame, that I believe that really happens.
I believe that too.
I do.
I
Yeah.
totally believe that too. So what was it exactly that you said, wow, the earth is flat? Like, was, you know, some people tell me it's because they think about water and how water finds its level.
Well,
What
that's
was
a
it
big,
for you? Because I do know that they tell you that it is flat in the Bible.
right. Well,
But
see,
besides the Bible, what else?
well, I didn't even know that was in the Bible, that the world wasn't moving. See, for years, I bought into part of the deception where I was looking to have science confirm the existence of God. They don't want to do that. They're not going to do that.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah,
No.
so a lot of the modern, what's wearing the name of Jesus, there's a lot of deceived people in there. They don't know it, and they don't know they don't know. They may think, oh, my God is so big he can
I
cause
love that,
people to
Robert.
stick to a spinning ball. Go
I
ahead.
love that. They don't know that they don't know they don't know.
That's right. That's
But when
right.
Yeah.
you know exactly, you
Oh
know.
yeah. Yeah, and then part of the dynamic here too is to be able to interact with those people and not attack them for being stupid, or make fun of them. And that's part of the dynamic that's going on
Mad as well.
in the truth movements. There's a lack of concern or caring or loving. There a lot of us came into this from different ways, but see, I was given a love for the truth, and that happened about a year and a half before I realized the global lie. Yeah, yeah, we still got the monkeys. I know they lied to us
Yeah,
about
but
evolution, but yeah, go ahead.
yeah, that was never in our thing. Um, I seen a couple of very big spinners. See, we call them spinners, the ones that think they're spinning. We seen a few of them wake up. So I mean, to see these ones that were so animate of trying to prove everybody wrong. Very day that one of them even woke up was that holy shit moment. Like, you guys are right, because he
Uh-huh.
was fighting us tooth and nail. I'm telling you, and he is also a surveyor. That's his job. He's a surveyor.
Yeah, yeah,
He'd be like, no, it is. And then another surveyor who was in the know, said to him, yeah, but and told him certain things that they do while they're working, and what he waking him up, and it was amazing to see that happen.
oh yeah. Now I met a surveyor, a commercial surveyor, and he just thought I was crazy. I said, "Have you looked into this? Have you looked into? Have you been able to find the curve?" And he said, "My instruments calculate for that." I said, "They're calculating for nothing. They don't need to calculate for a spherical curvature that's not there, because we're not on a sphere. The water is flat. So in answer to your question about the water, that was a big deal. For about more than a year and a half, I had been out on the beach telling people about Jesus and enjoying the water and the waves and the people out there at the beach, and being unplugged from the mind control of the mainstream media, the news and the entertainment. I lost an appetite for make believe. For science fiction, I just don't have an appetite for it the way that I used to. And a lot of people are living in fantasy.
Yeah. So do you also use your gifts, like, since you've been awake, has your gifts got bigger? Like, what I mean, like, is because obviously you're healthy. And you use the stuff you're supposed to use, and more than likely your pineal gland is now decalcified.
I would say so.
Do you lucid dream? And
Yeah,
do you use
I
your
do.
6th and 7th senses? See, is that so? Did you always, or did you come into it? Because to me, this is important kind of stuff that I have to pay attention to. I'm at the point in my life right now where I'm becoming an elder. Like, I've been getting my elders' teaching, so I need to know everybody's at, where they're at.
Well, see, part of the dynamic, I believe, is that we're looking at humanity being very toxic and undernourished. Toxic with thinking, toxic with chemicals that are harmful to the function of the body and the mind. And what I do is make an effort to eat really healthy. And when I say that, I'm not just talking physical nutrition, it's also spiritual nutrition. So I listen to the Bible when I'm sleeping and through the day, because his word helps me to focus on what's important. Now, it's not only the huge benefit of focusing on that, it's what I'm not focusing on as well. It's not one or the other, it's actually both. So I'm putting in the good stuff, keeping out the bad stuff. That's the short version. The complicated version is that people don't, there's a lot to learn. So for my personal hygiene, I use purified water and coconut oil and baking soda. And that's a big part of it. And for my nourishment, the coconut oil, probably about 1.5 gallons of coconut oil a month.
Oh, I know, I love it. And a lot of people don't realize rubbing it on your gums every morning, a couple times a day, if you can think about it. I mean, just do it, make it a routine. Rub it on your gums, and also at night, gets rid of pyorrhea. It gets rid of that gum disease that we all have because of all these foods that give us infections that you don't even realize that are underneath your gums, because people don't know that. That it's food that's causing your infection. So use coconut oil and rub them on your gums.
Yeah, that's real beneficial. Now, one of the other things is I've got nylon exfoliating gloves that I soak in purified water that has some baking soda in it, about 1/4 cup in about 12 ounces of water. And what it does is it stops any fungus from growing in the water on the gloves, and also it releases lactic acid from the muscles, which can be painful. And also it opens up the epidermis to breathe better, to absorb oxygen from the atmosphere. And so there's
how much baking soda do you put in it?
About the size of a golf ball. It's like 1/4 cup of baking soda in the purified water that I mix into the like 12 ounces of purified water. And I normally use warm, purified water to rinse my body off. And then I put that in the glass and keep the gloves soaking in that. So it's rather than me putting baking soda on gloves that have been sitting out all day, for like 24 hours or however long, I've got them soaking in the water, which stops them from getting any like mildew on them. Like, have you ever picked up a sponge or a washcloth and you can
Yeah,
smell the
stinky.
mildew? Yeah, well, that doesn't
Yeah.
happen with these because the baking soda kills it. And then I put a little bit of baking soda, coconut oil, and water solution under my arms because I don't want the aluminum from an antiperspirant. So it's a big deal. A lot of people are unaware of the level of how they're targeting people with toxic food additives, as well as distraction in the form of media. What many view as entertainment, it just doesn't have any real beneficial value. What it has is um, a very distractive type of focus. People are thinking about things that don't really matter. So, for example, um, I live my life very deliberate in my time management. And so when I am driving, I've given myself ample time to get to my destination and to do that without speeding, which changes the context of the drive. I enjoy the drive. And like when I was getting ready for the broadcast today, I was a little bit tense because I wanted to get more done in the time that I had. Now, when did I get up to start it? Well, about 3:15 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for a 9 o'clock broadcast. And I was able to get on live with about a minute to spare. And I gave all the kitties a bath. We've got the 6 hairless kitties and 2 with hair. And so to do laundry, bathe the cats, and work on the house so it's nice. It was all a little bit frustrating in some respects, but here's the thing. When I get irritated, it's normally because I'm expecting things to work out different than they do. Like when a cord gets tangled or something is a little more challenging. I had a couple of events happen where like a couple of plants fell over when I was moving something. I didn't see something coming, and normally it would have made me really upset. And what I did was just purposefully uh, remedied the situation. And so it wasn't a big deal. It just worked out different than I anticipated it. So, like when you were mentioning about being difficult living with family members that don't understand or aren't awake, it's like I really don't have any choice in the matter. I mean, I can't go back asleep, and I can't seem to get them to wake up. So, for example, our oldest son, is going to visit us. He's going to be here for about a week, starting next Monday, and so that'll be interesting to spend time with him. And you know, part of this dynamic is I just don't have the ability to just wake somebody up. It's not on me either. If you were to hear the backup beeper of a vehicle, like when you hear them beep beep beep, they're backing up a truck with all the truth somebody would need to know. That's not going to do it. It has to do with the individual. Do they really want to know? And a lot of people, the reason why we get attacked, as best I can tell, we're not just attacking. There's a threat on their perspective that they don't like. Okay, what it means is that they've been deceived and they don't like that, for one. And then what does that all mean? Well, basically, it means that there's a system that's designed to keep people deceived, and they don't like that. They would rather believe something different. They may acknowledge that politicians lie, right? And that salesmen lie, right? Well, when you realize that that the politicians are lying about so much more than we ever realized, they're basically funding that. That's why when I was mentioning about uh, the distributed money generation, being able to help people save money and make money in addition to their current job and maybe replace their current job. And so instead of us just hoping that they're going to represent us fairly uh, through the media, that's almost like a very unrealistic expectation. One of the questions that I was asked by Red Ice Radio totally caught me off guard. He said, imagine tomorrow the New York Times says that we didn't go to the moon and they've been lying the whole time. I said, well, that question really caught me off guard. Because I don't believe that will ever happen. I don't believe that they're ever going to admit that they've been lying the whole time. So, a good question. It's just not going to happen. At least as best I can tell. If it were to happen, it would be to cradle and hold an even bigger deception. At least that's been kind of my experience as a person who lied a lot. If I'm gonna ante up with some powerful disclosure, it's only going to be to conceal something bigger. That's kind of the way it works. I mean, they're very elaborate at the deception, right?
No, good point.
Yeah. So on all of this, I think I've kind of Karen, where are we time wise? I haven't been paying attention. We're almost to an hour and a half, aren't we?
I am here. I just couldn't get the button off quick enough.
Oh, that's okay.
You can go for a little bit longer if you want, Robert. We've been going for nearly 2 hours now.
Oh, yeah, because I was about ready to say that I think I've pretty much covered what I wanted to today. I don't want to keep repeating myself. Are there any additional questions that you all may want me to answer, or something you want to
Yes,
say as well?
yes.
Go ahead.
You speak about your son, and it's not you personal, but it's you, it's me. Um, about this project, Flat Art, and the family, and all the people who close around us. Um, if we put the heart in everything we do, so we are going to succeed to bring heaven in Mother Earth. That's all.
Yeah, well, Yuta, you're exactly right. And one of the things that's happened with the digital communications worldwide is that we're finding out that there are other people that are understanding about this deception, and there's a certain amount of connectivity and encouragement that we get from each other when we acknowledge, like, love, and share other people's perspective, their point of view. It means a lot. That encouragement really helps, and that's one of the reasons why I want to help empower others to be able to do this. Before as I was getting ready today, I was talking with a friend who's working two jobs to try and make ends meet, and I shared with him about this opportunity because it's something that he can do in addition to, and maybe it'll replace the need for all of that other activity. So that's part of the dynamic, is that we can help others. Help others is basically how I see that. So when I first looked at a money making opportunity, like in years gone by, I would normally think, what's in it for me? coming off of the Flat Earth Conference, what I saw is a tremendous need that we have within the truth movements to be able to share what we believe is important without losing our jobs, without losing, well, that's a big part of it. And not just about losing our jobs, but be able to have the money to be able to reach out more. You know, what would I do if I had more resources to work with? I believe I'm about to find that out. So the passion that I had was to help others. It wasn't just to help myself. It's like, what can I bring? What practical information can I bring to this equation, so to speak? People struggling financially and having the awareness of a very unpopular truth. And that's the real, see, because what I find so amazing is that when I'm interacting with individuals that are willing to share the truth, even though it's unpopular with the people that we're presenting it to, and to continually do that. That's a special kind of individual. It shows to me a love for the truth, which I have a very powerful affinity for or attraction to. People that are willing to tell the truth even though it's unpopular. Which that's why we're on this call. We care.
You have a big courage, Robert.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is what we need, a big courage.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's wonderful.
Robert, is there any way you could show people in the chat room a little bit of your work that you do, you know, with your filming with the sun in the clouds, or is it too much to set up?
Well, let me flip this around and see what I can bring up with this. Okay. Oh, and I subscribed. I've got a new subscriber. Thank you. I subscribed to you too.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Oh, send them too. Look at all those people that subscribed at the same time.
Yeah. Well, what I found out too, this is really interesting. Now, on this right here, I thought I could have as many subscribers as I wanted. Did you know there's a limit?
Yeah.
Or, I mean, I can only have 2,000 subscriptions. What I was going to do was subscribe to a lot of people so that they would in turn maybe subscribe to me. Well,
yeah, because I just subscribed to you. How come I'm not on there? Because I just maybe you have to refresh, maybe.
Oh, well, I would, and I resubscribed to you. The parameter I had was a little bit different. I think it was the most subscribers. Oh, this is interesting. Now I'm going to see if this will show up. Oh yeah,
So
look at these
on
little
Facebook,
guys.
Robert, on Facebook, are you also the Eternal Perspective?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Okay, I'll go on there and subscribe to you too.
Well, you can follow me there. I think I've got my friend limit. Let me expand this if I can. Yeah, so this is just a bunch of sandpipers enjoying the waves out there. And then, of course, just to watch that, I'm showing the beauty and majesty of creation. And it's, you know, I really enjoy it. And I see a lot of other people like to go out there and enjoy it too.
What's not there to enjoy, you know, watching Mother Earth at her finest, you know?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah, now that only had 53 views, but you never know. I have.
But you know, that's a lie, though. I'm gonna tell you something. We've watched one time where we knew there was like so many viewers. We seen the view count go down.
Oh yeah.
And it's not supposed to do that. This is when I used to help this other YouTuber with his. I used to help him produce his shows.
Yeah.
And we were all sitting there looking day, and we seen the subscribers. I mean it was subscribers list. I mean, that's the watch list go down. There's no way it should go down. But
that's
we see
right.
it. So yeah, they pull that kind of crap on people.
Oh, that can happen. Now, like this area right here where we're looking at, that's the, of course, that the sun came up. I'll just scroll over a little bit, take it a little bit earlier in the day, just a short time. The distance from when the top of the sun appears to the bottom appears is just a couple of minutes. It's only about 3 minutes. Now here we've got the marine layer that's up there. Sometimes it's really crisp and clean, and it appears when the clouds are like this, all of a sudden the sun will just be there. You know, it's been up for a while and it moves forward and we can see it. But see in this right here, we can see the sun shining on the beach. And what'll end up happening with that, depending on perspective, we can see the elevation change of the water and the waves and all that. Now, this particular video is about 12, almost 12 hours long, and it's showing this area right here and the Gospel of John to the Book of Revelation. And so what we're seeing in this is the tidal activity. The tide is obviously going out. On some of my videos, I've actually narrated that to draw people's attention to what they're looking at.
So beautiful.
And yeah, and then I've got different time lapse. We'll see, because it's a bright day, we'll notice that the color of the sand now here it gets lighter, and now we can see that it's coming back in. It's about every 6¼ hours. It's just like clockwork, and that's part of what I noticed is the tidal activity, and also the activity of where the sun and the moon appear. It varies so much. That's part of the dynamic that's fascinating. Now I have a different video I did yesterday. It was a live broadcast. Started out, let's see. Yeah, see how the sun is shooting across the water there? Yeah.
Yes, it's so beautiful.
And see how we can see right there where it's hitting the sand because of perspective there.
Right.
And then the shadow in front of the wave there. What I can do, I'll unmute this.
Robert,
Yeah.
what I see is half sky, ugly sky.
The what?
The sky is,
She sees harp in the sky. It's an ugly sky.
yeah, it's half.
Well, you know what?
I have the same sky in Israel. Every sunset, it's like this. Incredible. All day, it's clear and beautiful. And in the sunset time, they came from nowhere, this ugly sky. And yeah, it's the
I
same.
agree. I agree, Judith. It's the same here as well, that when the sun's going down.
And also in the morning, when I want to picture the sunrise, I can't picture the Venus also because of it.
Yeah, don't you find that at sunset now and sunrise now that it's like that's when the chemtrails start so that we don't see something?
Yeah.
And we get a pink haze behind as well. Like that's got clouds in it, but there's always a pink haze behind us.
Yeah, and the sky become pink.
Right. Nice sunrise this morning. Can you see this at all?
Oh, yeah.
Every morning when I drive down the motorway, I get a beautiful sunrise. It's every morning. It's so nice. But I mean, obviously, I can't take a picture if I'm driving. I'm a passenger sometimes.
So this is the video that you were asking about, Karen. This is the sun in the clouds video.
Oh, and, wow. Yeah. It totally looks like the clouds are wrapping around the sun. It doesn't even look like it's behind it. Like even
right.
Wow, that's beautiful. Looks like an egg.
Yeah, and what I've had happen on this video is it was shared on the the group Infinite Earth and also Flat Earth Research. And the amount of times it was shared is over 6,000 times it was shared. Yeah. Now, even on my YouTube channel, it says that it's been viewed only a little more than 1,000 times.
That's what I
However,
mean. And you know it was, if it was shared 6,000 times.
well, it was viewed according to the view counter of the different posts. It says that it's been viewed over 250,000 times collectively. And then I'm talking during the video. You can see it on my YouTube channel, Eternal Perspective, if you like to. See how interesting that looks there? I don't really know how to explain that away. Some people say, oh, it wouldn't work. It's too hot for the clouds. I'm like, okay, I don't know what it is, man, but it looks like it's in the clouds
Okay,
there to me.
this is where people get things wrong. Okay, I'm going to explain something to people that don't understand this. The sun is not a ball of fire. Okay, you take
Right.
fire and you put it near a plant, it's going to burn the plant. Now, you
Right.
take energy and put it near a plant, and the plant's going to grow and thrive very well.
Yeah.
People have this in their head because they were taught that the sun is a ball of fire when it isn't. It's a ball of energy. Well, not even a ball, it's a disc of energy. So they have to just get that out of their mind that that's fire. Because if that was fire, yeah, that would happen to clouds, but it's not fire.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of interesting. I have the original.
It's electromagnetics.
Right.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. It's totally magnetic
Now
because it
this,
pushes off the other sun that's in the other plane, the other part of the plane that we're not allowed to see or whatever. They turn, or I mean, what do you call it when they go against each other? The two
the polarity.
Yeah. When they push against each other, I mean away from each other, because they're both touching its negative. That's what causes them to rotate. So there's one everywhere, and it's like cogs in a wheel.
Yeah.
Right. That's how it's explained to us with our creation stories and stuff here. That's how it's explained to us why the sun moves the way it does. It's because it keeps going against another sun that we don't see. That's not in where they show us our physical land. Well, there's 26 other lands around us. Actually, Robert, it's quite interesting. This last few weeks, we're, along with other elders and stuff, we are putting together a flat earth map for people. And it was because of me saying all the time, how can I describe this to people that don't understand?
Right.
I'm sure you heard in the past or whatever, Native people always calling our land Turtle Island. Well, we call it that because it's 26 pieces around our center, which we're the center, right?
Okay.
And so what happens is all these suns, like sometimes people say, oh my God, I've seen two suns. Well, yeah, they probably are, because they're seeing a sun that's on another part of the plane that isn't in our rotation and moon. So what happens is they're like magnets, right? As soon as they go near each other, they're opposite. So then that makes it move away from it, and the other one moves the other way. And then it does that all around. It's just like as if you took a whole bunch of cogs, put them on like say a piece of wood, and you turn one, they're all going to turn, and this is why it's continuous. This will help people too, so they'll get that knowledge of, oh, okay, because when it's explained to you when you're younger, and this is how there's no whys anymore. Once you understand magnetic fields, there's no whys at all. You know what I mean? Because you see it happening. You can see them going off of each other, and the sun's moving all together in a unison. You know what I mean? It's hard to explain if it's not physically in your face, but hopefully I can explain it good enough.
Well, one of the challenge, there's this whole discussion has quite a few different facets in it. One of them is, I believe it's easy to prove that NASA's lying and that we definitely don't live on a globe. That's one aspect of this. Now, to take that information and try and extrapolate a map and a model and all of that that's a whole different dynamic. to try and prove the exact model that we live in, you know, not the heliocentric, but the geocentric model. How does it all work? Well, I don't really need to prove that to me.
No,
I
but
mean,
it's not a proof what we're doing. It's not a proof. It's what it is there's so many people that ask, like even our elders here, ask them that same question. Well, what do we have? Like we have our grandmother's teachings books, like you know, this is what we've been using for over 15,000 years, is these, you know, pictographs and everything else, or pictograms and everything else. So when people ask that question, we explain it and you could show, but we're not allowed to take pictures of this book because it's like a lot of our sacred stuff is in the book. And, you know, it's just one of those things. And, you know, a lot of Native people, we don't take pictures of a lot of things because of, it's just the way it is. Our stories don't change. Like, I don't know if you've ever listened to any of Karen's shows when we talk about that, but what happens is when we do teachings or storytelling here, there's always has to be at least one medicine man and 2 or 3 elders have to sit there in any kind of a storytelling so the story does not change. You're not allowed to change the story, and it's never changed all this time. So every time the stories of our creation and all that is told to whoever time, or like yesterday, for instance, we did a thing for the children 0 to 5 years old on the 7 sacred teachings. You know, this is so that the story don't change like Chinese whispers. You know, when someone whispers something, the next person says it or whispers it, and then it keeps changing the story. So when it comes to us talking about the flat plane that you know that the Creator created for us, it goes on and on. You know, but it's the same as how you would see the back of a turtle in the way that it's sectioned off. You know, it doesn't mean that we're like, you know, people get it wrong by saying, oh, they think they're on top of a turtle going through. No, we don't. What we know is that these places were accessible before. And so our people knew. And that's why we always had the medicine wheel, which has the 4 colors of man, the 4 directions, right? And all that stuff. But really, we have more than the 4 directions, you know, because we also have up and down, you know, heaven and below.
See, and part of the what I was thinking earlier, like earlier this week, was apparently, according to the globe, Argentina, or the tip of South America, is really close to Antarctica. But see, we don't really know how accurate that is. Not that I'm believing the globe. If I were to just take that model, though, and say, okay, who is available to take a flight over, like a private jet, to fly from the tip of South America to see how far it actually is away from Antarctica? And is that really even feasible to do?
Well, you know, I'm a pilot, right?
Oh, really? What is the
What?
largest plane you've flown, or are you rated on?
Yeah, I'm rated on a Dash 8. It's a multi-engine airplane. It's huge.
Robert, maybe Marlena can do what you want. Like, I don't think she can fly right now. She's waiting for an operation on her knee.
Yeah, I have to get my knee fixed first because I can't pass my medical right now until I get my knee fixed.
She could do. Oh, okay. Robert, tell her what you would like, because we put a post out about a year ago, me and Robert. He wanted a pilot to film something.
The idea was to basically try and follow the flight or the path of the sun. And I don't know how practical that is. What I've actually I was thinking about is to.
I'm sorry, I'm babysitting.
Oh, that's okay. Is to see how far. What would there be in Antarctica close to South America? Is there a landing pad? Is there a place to fuel back up? I mean, you wouldn't want to go on a one-way trip to Antarctica, right? And would you actually be able to do a live broadcast, or would you lose signal? There's talk about you can't make a cell call from a plane. I don't know how accurate that is. Do you know? Can you get a cellular signal
Oh
when you're up in
yes,
the air?
yes, you can. Yep, as long as see, the thing is, this is a misconception for a lot of people thinking that you need a satellite or whatever to get Wi-Fi, but no, you can now. As long as the plane has, I don't know what you would call that thing.
An
It's just like when
antenna?
you go for, kind of, when you go for a drive somewhere and you lose signal, but you can buy that $35 stick. That's a Wi-Fi stick.
Yeah.
Well, you have the same thing for a plane, because now a lot of people that know when they're flying, you can go on your satellite. I mean, you can go on your cell phone. But yeah,
Well, yeah.
it's
Now,
possible.
one of the things that there's been discussion of within the community, the flat Earth community, is that planes aren't. I've got a video of it. It's posted on my Google Plus. You can go to my Google Plus channel. There's a gentleman who's showing that planes aren't tracked when they leave the continents because it's
No,
a ground-based radar system, basically.
that's right. It's all a guess. That's why they tell us where to go. Like, say if I'm going to go for a flight and I send them in my flight plan, they'll
Right.
change it. They'll change it, or like, okay, no, don't fly this way. You're flying this way. So they make little tiny adjustments so that they can have us uh, on the so-called maps. But you also got to realize a lot of these planes that they have in the sky aren't really in the sky. There's a lot of fake planes up there.
So how do we see
All
them?
it is saying that there's one. You can't see them. They're not real. They just put them on the map. I don't know why they do it. I have no answer, because they aren't real planes.
So
They
is
just
it
say they
something
are.
is it something that's showing up on the radar?
Yes, because it's
Okay.
programmed in. It's typed in.
Okay.
Right? So they're trying to say, I'm sure people must have did videos of these where they know for sure there's not a plane, and they have it on radar that there's a plane. I think some of the reason why they do it is to say that there's certain places there's not.
Right. Well, that could very well be. Yeah. And that's
Anyway,
part of the.
Globebusters is raising money right now. I'm on their Flat Earth Council, and they want to do a flight, and they've been saving money because next year they want to do a flight of 200 of them going from, I think it's Australia over to Russia or something. I can't remember exactly what the flight plan is, but they asked me to be one of the pilots for it.
Oh, wow.
Very iffy about, because I don't fly to die. And I know certain places they will shoot you. If it's a no-fly zone, that's what it means. It's a no-fly zone. You're not allowed. It's usually military operated. So what happens is, what they want to do is, they're not telling them they want to go over the poles, or the fake pole, because there's not one there.
Right.
Is they're saying that it's going to be a scientific thing. So they're going from to go do something. I think it's Russia. I'm not real sure which. I'll find out for you.
Yeah,
exactly
I would like to know. I would like to see. And have you heard about anybody wanting to fly from the tip of South America to Antarctica? That looks like the closest on a globe, but see, we don't know how some say that basically the globe was the flat Earth map wrapped around a ball. That's basically what it is.
It is.
Yes.
Definitely.
Well, what I was going to say, for example, when I don't know if you were on the broadcast when I mentioned that I drove from coast to coast and there's 650 miles of missing curvature. That's over a 30% grade easily. And my car couldn't have averaged 55 miles to the gallon. However, what that does help illustrate is that the distance on my odometer and the distance in the GPS and the estimated time of arrival was all accurate. I confirmed it with my actual experience. But see, I don't know if we've got people that can say, yeah, Australia is a certain amount of miles long from this direction to this direction. I've confirmed the distance of North America, at least the trip that I drove from coast to coast, it all checked out. So, you know, one of the arguments that people have with the flat Earth theory is, oh, your map's all wrong and your model is all wrong. I would say, well, I'm not really promoting a particular map and model. I'm saying the water's flat, and that's that. Now, when my pizza delivery guy wants to deliver me a pizza, and he's there within moments of when his ETA is on his GPS, or when I drive across the country, or the planes are flying and they're getting to their destination, you know, there's a map that's working, right? What is that map?
Okay, let me explain. I'm going to explain something real quick, though.
Sure.
Okay, I work during when you're flying. We don't have, there's no money for students to fly because they don't consider flying or getting your pilot's license. They don't consider that a real career. So we have to go make money elsewhere. So what I did was, and a lot of the pilots do, is we work for data processing, where there's no such thing as a satellite. Are typing in the coordinates to an application, and then the application is whatever. And people keep thinking, oh wow, you know, the satellites do this and whatever. You know what? If that was true, people wouldn't be getting lost. Then you know, it's usually not updated. It's when somebody doesn't update the coordinates, because like I know a few times where I was using GPS on the ground and end up in a different road. It's because somebody didn't fix the coordinates after, say, a new road was built. Now, if there was really a satellite, they'd be able to see that there's a road there. You know, people got to think this way. And a big misconception, and people will notice this by the way they drive and thinking they're supposed to take really long to get somewhere, and it's all of a sudden they get there really fast, is because the lands are a lot closer together than what they try to tell us.
So
from the sky myself, lands being a lot closer together than, you know.
You mean the continents are closer?
Yes. Yep.
Well, that could very well be. I would have no way of knowing that. I don't
know.
Next
time you fly, it's easy to tell. As soon as the pilot tells you how high you are, usually at 25,000 to 30,000 or so feet. When you're about that, when you look at the ground, you think of every inch as 15 miles. See, it's easy because I've been doing it all my life, but for every inch is 15 miles. Right? So this is like, even me just going down to driving to New York, right? Should take me at least 12 hours, right? On a regular, what they call the city map stuff. Those are more accurate. So if you use a city map, you'll get there exactly what time it says in the map. Because you know how your piece of your finger, your phalange is an inch, right? It's supposed to be an inch. So what I do is I mark it with my fingers, and then I'll know exactly how much time for me to get there. But when you use a bigger map, they're not accurate at all.
Yeah, see, like it says that the GPS, my iPhone, says that it's roughly 1,200 or 1,100 miles from Myrtle Beach area here to Wisconsin, where we used to live and where our sons live now. So, and then when I went from coast to coast, and it says 2,300 miles or so, 2,400 basically on the road, 23 as the eagle flies. Are you saying that the actual distance is different than what they're saying? Like, are the odometers wrong or something, or synchronized with some kind of a different measurement?
Yeah, it is different. And the reason why I say the city maps is because usually if you get a map in a certain, say, state or whatever, those are more accurate, only because people took their time to make that map. Usually it's a city that make their own maps. So if you try to compare that to a big map, like say, if they have like a map of the whole United States, say, right? And you compare those, there's going to be a big difference because they don't do it right. And I don't know why you know what, you know, I just don't understand why. See, with me, I use an A5000 map, an Air 5000 map. I'm not flying on a globe because there's no globe. And
so what is the
just,
name of the map that you're using? You said an A5
an
map?
Air 5000. An Air 5000. Well, I say A, but it stands for Air 5000.
Air
and then there's
5000.
also Air 5, right? And there's also Air 5003.
And
but
how
yeah, that's
big
what
of
I
an
use
area
when I
does
fly.
that cover? Does that cover the whole world?
Yeah, I mean, you'll have to get the pieces for those parts. But yeah, this is basically North America, like, you know, Canada, the United States.
And
I'm just saying this
so
is for
from
instance. So
from coast to coast, does 2,300 miles sound about right from Myrtle Beach to Long Beach? Is that about right?
yeah, that seems about right.
Yeah.
So
So,
how
you know,
long
I'm
would
not,
that? Yeah, I get you.
well, the 650 miles of curvature is 325 miles up and down. And at
Right.
the apex, a 325 mile hump, that's huge when you compare the elevation of Mount Everest. Reportedly, the highest point in the world is 5.5 miles tall. You know, so that's you know, to put that in perspective, it's over a 30% grade. My car couldn't have driven that. Not only
That's
couldn't have,
right.
you know, and that's part of
Yeah.
that's the thinking that goes into the comments from the 1800s, that there's no locomotive that's ever been uh, made that could work that kind of a grade. You know, neither could our private vehicles. They couldn't do it. So we know we're not on a globe. What I was going to say too is that if you go to satellite imagery on a map, satellite imagery, that's a misnomer as well. We know there aren't satellites. However, there's digital images of the place where we used to live with the cars we used to own out in front of it, or at least I've seen it at different times. So it gives the illusion that there are satellites for one, and that they're trustworthy for two. When they show us that, you know, that this is where we live, like my wife and sons will say, yeah, there's satellites. We've got satellite pictures. I said, well, you know, they've been taking pictures from a high altitude for a long time, U-2 plane, but there's a lot of equipment that basically takes images of the world that we live in. They're just not backing up far enough to give us a picture of the supposed spinning ball. They're not going to do that. You know, so I just found it kind of interesting that when they present to us the factual, they're showing us something that they're saying is attributed to satellites when there's no need for a geosynchronous satellite. It's not possible. It's not happening. Over 20,000 imaginary satellites, and they don't hit stuff and we don't see them. We don't see them when we're zoomed in on stuff with our P900 cameras, or we don't see them in telescopes. Now, there are things up in the sky that we can see from time to time, and it could be a wandering star. I don't know. I don't know, but there's
I can
nothing like
explain something real quick.
satellites. Yeah, go
Right.
ahead.
Oh no, they have balloons, of course, but
Oh yeah.
there's I've never seen, and I've been up to 65,000
That's a
in a
balloon.
jet.
Such a balloon. Anyway, carry on, Marlena.
Yeah, like I had the opportunity to fly with a snowbird before, and a snowbird is one of the, you know, and they go up to 65,000. He brought me up to 65,000 feet, and it still
Wow.
look exactly the same as when I'm at 35,000 feet or 25,000 feet.
Really?
You know, it looks exactly the same. It doesn't change. Like the horizon still met to eye level. There was no anything different. The only thing different is everything was smaller below us, but that was it. You know, but yeah, it did not change.
Yeah, which indicates that, you know, as we've heard before, the horizon rises to eye level, which is consistent with the plane. and inconsistent
Right.
and impossible with the globe. It would disappear. It would fall.
You should be able to see a curve at 100 feet up
Right.
if it was what they say it is, you know.
Right.
Like that's how when people, I mean, it's so silly, right? This lady one time came up flying, and she's in her 70s, and it was the first time she flew, and the only reason why she flew is because she wanted to see the globe. You know, she wanted to see the global Earth, and she was so disappointed. You know, she's like, I came all the way up here, you know, and I wanted to see this curve, and I didn't see anything. And
Right.
and then, you know, that's at the point where you tell them, well, maybe it's not.
Well, what's
You know, maybe
interesting
that's
too,
not what you know.
well, we have our sons stayed with us for a little vacation at a oceanfront condo that we were allowed to just use, and he was looking at the edge of the railing based on or in comparison to the horizon, and there's an apparent curve, but we know it's not a curve. It's an optical illusion based on perspective. And when we look out, now it was like 130 feet in the air, and it's an optical illusion. We know that because or I know that because of how far I can zoom in and bring ships back over the apparent horizon. You know,
Right.
so you know that's just there. But what I've heard talked about is that when people believe we're living on a globe and they see the horizon, they actually put the curve in their brain. It has
Yeah, but what happens, right? What happens with a telescope is it tricks your mind. It tricks your eyes because you have
right.
that roundness, right? And
right.
see, this is, you know, our eyes do the same thing because our eyes, you know, a telescope is mimicking our eyes. But, you know, if you stand outside right now and you look around you, it's going to look like it's round around you, which, you know, as soon as you use a pair of binoculars, you're going to see that it's not round, that you can see more past that. You know, globes are made that way, just like the old planes. I said this before. People used to think they were seeing a curve because we used to have bowed out windows. You know, but if you look in the direct middle of a window, you're not going to see that curve.
Right.
But,
right.
you know, we don't have those windows anymore. We have the flat ones. But, you know, before it was like that.
Oh, yeah.
Where's a trickery, you know?
No doubt. Well,
those
it tricks
fisheye lens cameras.
Exactly. And so that's similar to when people look at what they say are satellite images, and it's not really from a satellite. It's way too close for that. You know, it's not however high they say above. It's like a plane flying over, something like that. But anyway, it's all kind of interesting. You know, I just love the truth, and now that I know we're not on a globe, it's just fascinating to see the world from a different perspective. And you know, I see so many people that are becoming aware of that, and it was nice to see that at the convention. And I don't know what kind of percentage it is where people look at it, think to look into it, and find out the deception.
What did you think of the conference?
Well, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed meeting people from all over the world, and I enjoyed much of the content that was presented. Now, some of the content that was presented, I didn't see because I was being interviewed and I was talking to others. However, I've seen the presentations before, like Dean Odell, and he did a great job. And also, what I did too is I watched videos that were taken of that, you know, and I thought it was excellent information. Even though there are some that question the intentions of Mark Sargent, what I did in my photo album, if you go there, you can look at it. The information that he presented in his slideshow and he's in the picture as well, I thought was very compelling evidence that we're definitely not on a globe. So people might question his motivation. I would simply say, well, the information he presented was powerful when I first saw it, and it was very powerful when I saw it again. You know,
Yeah.
it's
You know,
true.
Robert, I'm going to say something. You know, I like Mark's work, you know, and there's so many character assassinators out there. And
Yeah,
I think, you know, the reason is to destroy, to divide and conquer. So if they get flat earthers fighting against flat earthers, it's
right,
just going to
right,
divide.
Yeah.
Then they'll stop believing in what they already know because of a
right,
certain person that was character assassinated. I don't go for that. I found
right.
that all his work that I've ever seen,
Yeah,
regardless of what the people try to say he's part of, it
right.
still was real good evidence. All of it is very well done. You know, there's people that wake up because of some of his videos that he's done. You know, so I think
I
the
was
character
one of those.
assassination.
Yeah, I was one of the people that saw his work early on, and I don't think you were on the call when I mentioned this. I actually called him like when I was a couple hours into when I saw the video, and I called him and left a message, and I thought it was very helpful information. It's still on my photo album. I'm going to leave it there because the truth the nature of truth is that it just is. There's the truth and everything else. So it's very convoluted the way that deception exists because in the
Robert, you know how
in
I
the
feel
art of
about the situation, don't you? Because I told you Mark's a friend of ours.
oh
He's
yeah,
coming on next Friday on Sun and Moon.
nice,
Yay!
nice. Well, you know, he's presented some very compelling evidence to prove we're not on a globe. So that's why I still featured his work, and I thought it was nice to be able to put him in the picture with what he presented. So as well as some of the others that were at the conference. So yeah, the short version is I enjoyed the conference. I'm glad I went.
Good.
Yeah.
I can't wait to finally go to one. They're so neat.
Yeah, I'm
Oh yeah.
planning on the one in April next year in England, Birmingham. But
Right.
there was something I heard about flat Earth core where they were talking about organizing some sort of a meetup or a connective point where people can, yeah,
Well, and
upload
what I want to
information, find
do,
out information, see videos.
Yeah, the
What?
people want to connect to each other, don't they, Astral?
Yeah,
That's what you're saying. You'd like to
yeah.
go out and meet more flat earthers.
I didn't
The
see
people want
much
to
of it, but
start connecting now.
yeah, that's right. Yeah.
well, and that's part of what I what was the catalyst for uh, realizing, like talking with my friend Matt Long from Ambit Energy, there are people that are making a very handsome living, a very attractive income, and having a lot of discretionary time. And I was thinking simply if I could help people to do that, which I believe I will, uh, that would help the networking of people one with another. What I can do personally in this area, we're going to have an estimated 20 million guests here this upcoming 2018. If people want to meet with me here, I would be happy to. You know, there will be the unofficial meetings of
In
people
South
that I
Carolina?
just,
Are they going to be in South Carolina? Where's
yeah.
it going to
Oh,
be?
yeah. Well, it's where I am. It's in the
Oh,
Myrtle Beach
nice.
area. See,
Oh, my
there's,
sister used to live there. You know what? I'm going to
what's
go
that?
because that's what, only a year away, right? When is that? When is that where you're talking about?
Well, there's going to be a conference in Colorado in November. What I'm saying is, I live in the Myrtle Beach area, like 5 miles or 7 miles from the ocean in Longs, South Carolina. It's the north end of South Carolina is where I live. And if people want to meet when they come out this way, I'd be happy to meet with them. We get a lot of guests from Canada, Virginia, the alphabet agencies in Virginia, in
So this is
Washington,
November
D.C.
next. Sorry, Robert. Is this next year of November? Like next year is coming?
Well, next
What year?
November, a year from now, in
Okay, cool.
Colorado.
Because that's not too far of a drive, you know. Or I'll probably be flying by then, so I'll be able to just fly over there. But I'm gonna go to that one because it's not too far from my home, and I think it would be nice for me to talk to people so they know there are people that were born and raised flat earthers, the ones that don't realize, you know, even though they're just waking up now, there are some of us that have always lived this way.
Now, is that the what would be considered the Native American perspective?
Right.
That's interesting. You know, I don't know that I now. Are you aware of any videos that relay that?
Well, I'm doing some videos. A lot of the traditional Native people, we don't record on video. That is, we don't record during ceremony. And usually stuff like this is discussed during ceremonies, and it's just the way it is. It's because I see. I don't even know the whole. I know it has something to do with our energy and stuff like that. That it's not supposed to be put on videos and pictures. So a lot of the times, like if you go to a ceremony, like say if you're at a powwow and you go to the beginning ceremonies, they tell everyone to put their cameras down.
Oh. Well,
So,
I would be interested in knowing
it's
what
part of our tradition.
Sure. Well, and what I'm wondering, you know, it's kind of funny. I've got a picture of. I don't know if I actually took a picture of it. It was maybe a dozen years ago. I was in an Amish community in Wisconsin, and she was wearing her head bonnet, and she was on a cell phone. It just was it was an apparent contradiction.
Well, it's not that nobody uses this stuff. It's just during certain ceremonies we do not use that stuff. And you know, it's a deep spiritual reason for that stuff, you know. But if you talk to people that know our traditions, they'll tell you themselves we're on Turtle Island and there's 27 there, but there's 26 around us of these lands. We know this. This is something that's a no, you know.
Wow. So, what is the closest of the set? I believe we have 7 continents, right?
And that's
according
our
to
lands, right?
right. So, in that, how close do you think? You know, when I looked at South America, where it juts out, and Antarctica comes towards it, it looks like a couple hundred miles away from the edge. Do you know if that's accurate?
Yeah,
Have
that's
you heard
true.
any talk of?
It's very accurate. We have the map, and like the maps that we've been drawing, and that's what I was saying. In the last few weeks, we've been putting all our information together. A bunch of Native people and the medicine men, you know, elders and stuff like that. They came with their information, and we've been having this 2-week conference here. You know, today was our last day. And what it was is we were all putting this map together because it was something that I kept bringing up. And like, you know, when we have our little ceremony stuff, because we have them all the time, I kept bringing it up. How can I explain to people? And then they're like, well, we could take our maps, put them together. So this is what we've been doing. So when you look at so you look at what we call the North Pole, right? What we don't call it, but what people call, you know, there's 4 places of land and these in there. It has, you know, what we see on a medicine wheel that you've always seen in all Native cultures. You always see the mandalas that have in our medicine wheels. They have that quadrants. Okay. Well, that represents the middle. That always represented the middle. You know, if you look up medicine wheel, like on your computer or whatever, you'll see it's sectioned off in 4. Well, those is what you guys would consider the North Pole. That is our center of Turtle Island. So
will you be able to take a picture of it and post it on Facebook?
Yep. Yes. And I'm one of the people working on, because I'm an artist, so I'm the one that's working on the art part of it.
Wow.
Me and 2 other ladies are working on the art part of it.
Yeah, and I would like to not only see that, I would like to hear I've already heard some of your explanation of how you've been able to confirm some of the placement of the land that you've actually been flying over in that.
Yeah, it is drawn out. Like, these things are drawn out. Like, we have them in like the pictographs are hieroglyphs here, that is carved in stone. These things, something that's
Wow.
just came up. Like, our stuff is dated over 15,000 years.
And how soon do you think you'll have a post of that, Marlena?
Probably the next few days.
Would you please, when you get that, would you private message it to me?
Of course, definitely.
I would love to see that. Like I said, I've got the follow button on my Facebook, and I'll see your message, and I'll send you my photo album. I've got like 1,600 photos of some pretty interesting things out here at the beach and other locations. You might enjoy those. I love
Just
taking
looking at a few
beautiful
while we're
pictures.
talking. They're beautiful. Another thing where I got to explain quick is the Northern Lights was a way of travel.
Yeah.
For our families and our each one of those places take you to a different place on the plane. If people, like, they can't explain what Northern Lights are, you hear all these different explanations, but with our culture, when they come up within those 4 quadrants. They come up in the very middle, like spreading right out to each one. So it would be like each one of them is a direction. And this is how they travel. They would go through these Northern Lights and they would bring you into all these other places. So these explorers that had went to the North Pole, the reason why they got things wrong and got things misconstrued is because there's a ridge of mountains that go around each one of these quadrants, right at the edge of each one of those, and they look almost identical to each other. So if you were an explorer and you seen this, and then say you went for you're doing a little boat ride around it, and then you came across it, you're thinking that you're looking at the same mountaintops or mountain range, but you're not. You're looking at another quadrant, and this is where the ones that were doing maps at that time, the topographers or whatever, got it wrong.
That sounds fascinating. I look forward to seeing that.
If you look at maps from the 1600s, they still have it. What we have, it's the same as ours. It's the same exact thing as ours. The only thing different is, the middle mountain that's in the very middle. Okay, all these lands are not allowed to be habitated. Nobody is allowed to live there. And it was because of all this natural energies and stuff that Mother Earth gives off for us. You're not supposed to live there. Nobody does live there. So in the very middle for our depiction is a teepee. So it's supposed to be like a mountain, but we have it as a teepee because that's like the center of her.
Wow. Interesting.
And then this is how you get with people saying wandering stars. Those aren't wandering stars. Those are suns. Those are the suns of these other planes that are attached to ours, that we're all together. And there's like an opening in each one of these places. There's an opening at the ice walls. There's an opening, and that's because that's where the sun meet each other kind of thing and push away from each other. So there's an opening right there. And I don't know who had it, but I know someone had it not too long ago of a crop circle that was made that had an opening at the ice wall. Well, that's where the suns meet. So the suns that we see, these scientists name them Jupiter, Saturn, all those things. But these are actually the suns of these other planes that's attached. I shouldn't say other planes because it's on ours, but we're able to see them because of like how you're talking about perspective.
Right. Well, that sounds
they're moving a certain way during the day.
Well, I look forward to seeing your work, Marlena.
It's good that I have somewhere to talk about it. It's not an issue here where we live. It's not even a topic. I'm always the one that brings it up, only because of questions that people ask me here, like inside YouTube land or whatever, Hangouts. Is the only reason why I keep bringing it up in our ceremonies, because, for us always knowing it, it's not even an issue. It's not something that, we learn about it when we're little, and then that's it, because it's there. So we go on to teaching, how to use our energy that we have inside us, and to protect our earth, protect our water, because we're the water keepers of Mother Earth, right?
Wow. That's really interesting. I've always had a fascination with water, and that's a pretty valuable commodity. It's so powerful. Liquid oxygen and hydrogen
Yeah,
when it's in its state of being really clean of or absent of dissolved solids, like whatever the gunk
right.
is, that's it's very powerful.
It is, and it's Mother Earth's veins, right? It's her blood in her veins is the water. And
Wow.
so you see, like a lot of Native people, every one of us, every one of our tribes, we all try to protect it because that's what we were here to do, is protect her, protect those veins. If you get veins dirty, what do? They die. So it's like, we can't have these people cracking open Mother Earth's skull. We can't have that.
Hmm.
So that's a big thing what we do. We stopped it here in our community. We stopped those people from fracking.
So
Polluting
you're
and stuff.
in Canada there?
Right. I'm in New Brunswick, right on the
New
East
Br-
Coast.
How far from Alberta is that? Is that like a couple thousand miles?
Oh, way across. More than a couple thousand. I'm on the other side. Like, I'm above Maine,
Oh, okay.
right?
Okay.
And where that is above California.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
that's
quite
a
quite a distance. Canada's huge.
yeah. Oh, yeah. Wow.
But yeah, we all get together once a year. Well, all year we have our powwow trail, right across Canada
Mm-hmm.
and the United States. And we ours is in July, so you guys are more than welcome to come here, and learn some of this stuff. We don't discriminate. The word powwow itself is the gathering of people. It's not just Native people. So if you see a powwow going on in your communities or your areas, go to them because it is open for everybody. And you will have storytellers that tell you the same stories. Like our creation
Interesting.
stories is the same. And you know what fascinates me though is the Bible. Wishing to have and nobody talks about it. See, we talk about it. That water has memory, water holds emotion, water does all this stuff. It's because it's actually a living thing. Water lives, in the Bible, look at all the water manipulation they have in the Bible, but nobody looks at that as they don't look at it as what a miracle it really is. They just, oh yeah, they did this to the water, blah, blah, blah. And then they keep talking. They don't stop and say, hey, they did the same thing with water that we do here. We bless our water, love your water, always tell your water, feel the emotion of love. And it does. And water holds memory. So if we forget something, you immerse your hands in water and you'll remember what it was that you were trying to, clarify inside your mind.
Wow, that's
Well, it makes sense
interesting.
to you, right? Because you know your Bible, so you know all the times they manipulate water in the Bible.
Well, I mean, I've heard about water having memory. I just don't know how that all works out. I mean, I like the idea of putting it in the sun, and I like the way it clean water tastes. One of the things that'll happen too is if I take uh, a water jug, a gallon jug, and have it filled with like 1 ounce less than a full jug, it'll fill right up when it warms up. It'll expand like an ounce or so for about almost a gallon, which is kind of interesting. And I know that it'll magnify the light of the sun, so it'll actually cause combustion of like grass or cardboard or or that. It's pretty interesting. There's still a lot of mysteries in this world, and I think what's happened with me, Marlena, and the rest of you listening, is that when I realized that who I trusted as the authorities, I basically realized they were deceiving me. So I realized that they lied about coming from monkeys. I didn't realize that there are other assertions and formulas and theories were basically very deceptive
You didn't realise it was all a
intentionally.
lie, Robert. It's all a lie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you got to realize too, a theory is just a thought. That's all it is. Theory is thought. The word theory itself just means thought. They just think, okay, this is the way it is. This is the way I think. Well, we don't.
Oh yeah.
We don't do that here. We know. We know
Right.
things. I don't know if you know who Dr. Emoto is, but he's the one that I say discovered, but I'm not going to say discovered because we always knew as Native people, we've always known that water holds emotion. You know, Dr. Emoto did a great big thing, and this is when people start waking up, realizing that anything you think or feel will be reflected in the water, which we knew. But he ended up coming to one of our conferences we had in Montreal.
Really?
And I had the opportunity to meet him. He has the most beautiful videos. Dr. Emoto, his video I think is called Water
Love.
Emotions, something water.
Yeah, I've seen some of his work, and I thought it was amazing, showing the color of plants and that, and flowers, and how the color and the symmetry of the reflections within. It was all pretty interesting.
Yeah, he did when you put love to water and how the molecules change in the water. You know, you could do these experiments yourself at home. We've done them here just so we could show the children, you know, where if you put love and intent into water, the water changes. And he has the most beautiful video. There's a lot of people that put the same video, if you want to check it out, Robert, where it shows love, and then you see the molecules in the water change so beautifully. And then when you put hate, just even the feeling of hate, oh, it turns into this ucky looking, you know, thing.
Wow.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Check it out. There's actually, I'll get you the video so you can look at it.
Yeah, I would like that. I know I've seen
It's
some
beautiful.
of his work. I enjoyed it. Well, I'll tell you what, group, I've got to run. I
Yeah,
just
me
wanted
too.
to thank you so much for having me on, and it was nice connecting with you all
I'm
today.
just coming back. Oh, it was a pleasure, Robert. Yeah, we've done. Robert says about an hour and a half. That was 3 hours, Robert.
Oh, wow. Time flies when we're having fun, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It does.
Well, thank you so much. Well, feel free to private message me if you ever want to say hey, or anytime would be fine. I sure appreciate you all. Thank you so much.
Here's Robert.
Robert, big flat earth hugs for you.
Big hugs. Let me put my camera back on. Big hugs, everybody.
Thank you, Robert. It's so nice meeting you today.
Oh,
I wasn't
nice
even
to meet.
expecting to
Oh, what a pleasure.
Your feet there, Robert.
Yeah, there. I flipped it around. Thank you all so much. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
see you.
Bye, guys.
Hey.
What a cool guy, huh?
Oh, Robert.
In the back chat, water catch. Someone made a shorter video.
Are you going? I have to go to work soon, so I've got to go.
I have to go as well. I have to go. But you've been my thought.
It was finally nice seeing you, Astral.
Thank you. You too.
Oh, flat earth hugs
Yeah.
for you.
Nice weekend, people.
Mm-hmm.
Take plenty of pictures. Keep your ears open.
We're back on later on tonight. I don't know what the subject is. Maybe just the people will talk. Just be as many people as want to come on the hangout and just.
Yeah, it's all good. It's all good. All right,
I love you, Karen. I love you, Judith.
And,
love you, Astral.
Love you too. Family.
Bye, Patricia. You back.
Patricia dropped out a while ago due to her internet. Bye, Astral. Are we going to kind of just you and me, Judith?
Yeah.
Just
Beautiful,
you and me.
Karen.
Yeah. We're going to end the hangout now, aren't we? Because I need to go to work for a bit. I have a Friday night job to do.
You look great, Karen.
Yes, you did.
Yes.
Okay, then. Thank you to everybody who's in the chat room. Thank you to everybody that will watch this later on. From me and Sun and Moon and Robert and Marlena and Patricia and Astral and Judith. It wasn't it this afternoon. Thank you very much. See you later.
Thank you, Karen. Bye-bye.
Bye, Judith. Well, see you in the after hangout. Bye. Bye, bye, bye.